Hello and welcome to the Golf Course Lawn Show. My name is Ron Henry and I am here to help answer your lawn care questions. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. Super happy to have you here. The way this works is really simple. On your screen, you will see a chat box. In that chat box, you enter your question, concern, comment of the day, and I work through them in the order that they come in. Now, sometimes I have the answers, sometimes I do not. But either way, we have an awesome time talking about lawn care and sometimes life. Well, guys, hopefully all is going well in your world. The warmer temperatures are definitely causing some green to come into the lawns, which is really nice. I got some pictures from some viewers, some people in the Golf Course Lawn Academy that sent me some pictures of their lawns showing me how it's progressing. I took a short video of my lawn showing you how it's greening up, and then also some fun progress as far as the Zoysia renovation that I'm planning for the front lawn. So lots to talk about tonight. Should be a fun show. Again, I'm really hoping that the weather continues to cooperate with us and that we get a relatively early spring. The lawns come out of dormancy and do well. So as always, we're coming to you guys on YouTube as our main platform, but you can also watch the content on Instagram, Twitter, and Meta, and also on Facebook. So whichever way you want to consume the content, feel free. Only thing we ask is that if you're getting some value out of it, feel free to hit that like button because it does do a lot as far as helping the algorithm, helping more people come and watch the content, which helps the show. All right, let's get into it and let's see what questions we have this evening. Starting us off, we have Mr. Craig Williams. He says, "Hey Ron, what should I use to keep Bermuda out of the flower beds without damaging the shrubs or the grass I want to keep? Good luck on the live stream." Thanks so much, Craig. I really appreciate it. So as far as keeping Bermuda out of mulch beds or out of flower beds, your best bet is to have a physical barrier of some sort. And even if you do that, really all you're doing is buying yourself time. So I have some pavers in between my lawn and the mulch beds, and that does a pretty good job as far as slowing down how quickly the Bermuda goes into the creeps into the beds. The pavers are like 3 or 4 inches thick. So as far as them also, helping to block the roots some, they're helpful from that in that regard. Once you have Bermuda in your mulch beds, though, really you're just really stuck with post-emergent herbicides to get rid of it. What I found works well as far as a combination that works really well for Bermuda grass is glyphosate and fusilade 2. Now, that combination is non-selective, meaning you're going to have to do something to shield the plants, flowers, whatever you want to have that you want to keep in the mulch beds as well as your lawn. A piece of cardboard works really well. And what I find is, if you can, depending on how your flower beds are set up, you can use the cardboard to shield the plants that you don't want damaged from that, from the herbicide. Spray the Bermuda with that combination again, glyphosate and fusilade, and really within about 10 days, you're going to begin seeing the Bermuda lose its color, and then it will really accelerate as it dies off. That's what I do as far as controlling it once it actually gets into the beds. But as far as keeping it out, or at least slowing it down, getting into the beds, you're really going to have to do a physical barrier of some sort. And really, again, that just kind of buys you time. So hope that helps, sir. I know it's a challenge. I've got a video on this very topic on getting rid of Bermuda in mulch beds. Now, in this video, I don't have any plants in there, but you can at least see how I mix the glyphosate and fusilade 2. And again, that combination, as far as close as you can get to like a one and done, at least for that season against Bermuda grass, glyphosate and fusilade 2 does really well. Glyphosate by itself is okay, but when you add some fusilade with it, it really, really works well as far as eliminating that Bermuda grass and really keeping it out, at least for that season, right? So this is the video I'm talking about here. I will send you a link to it. And again, give that a shot. The big thing is if you take this approach, you have to do something to shield the plants you want to keep. Let me see, eliminate. I'll just actually put it down here so everyone can get it. Everyone on the other platforms. Eliminate Bermuda from flower beds. Yeah, so this works well, but again, you have to be careful to not get it on the plants that you want to keep. So hopefully that helps, sir. Really appreciate the question, and best of luck as far as keeping Bermuda out of your beds, really slowing down how quickly it gets in there. All right, next up is Mizon. He says, "What's up, Ron? I plan on putting some post-emergent herbicide down this weekend on my Bermuda lawn. Probably Celsius Uncertainty. How long should I wait to water my lawn again after applying the products?" Great question, Mizon. So if you're using Surfactant along with it, if you wanted to run your irrigation the next day, you could. Really, what you want is to spray the weeds on your lawn and allow the product to dry. And again, if you are using Surfactant, then you can really water the next day, and it's still gonna work really well. So if you're not using Surfactant, which you really should be, but if you're not using Surfactant, I'd probably give it an extra day, just to ensure that as much of it is taken up by the plant as possible before you go and run your irrigation, and then you should be good to go. So hopefully that helps, sir. You didn't ask about mowing, but while watering, you could do the next day. When it comes to mowing, you really want to give that a good 2 days at least, right? So if you sprayed on, say, tomorrow's Saturday, it really would be Tuesday, Monday night or Tuesdays when you would look at mowing the lawn again. So hopefully that helps, sir. If you need anything else, do let me know. And yeah, I mean, good job. Again, taking care of those weeds now before they become a big problem as the season progresses. All right, let us see who we have up next. Ahmad Jones. He says, "I just got my lawn for the spring. What should I apply now? What can I do to my hydrangeas? Should I prune them back?" So here's the thing. I'm not an expert as far as on ornamentals. So I've heard, when it comes to this, I've heard two different ways of doing it, two different approaches. There's some people that say you can prune them like at the late winter, early spring, like this time of year. And there's others that say that you get better results if you prune them later in the season, like late summer, early fall. I don't have any hydrangeas to tell you. I know Alex typically does his pruning on his shrubs and whatever early in the spring, and his all do really well. So you have to do some research and see which approach, depending on what you're trying to go for, is going to work best, Ahmad. And best of luck with that. I'm not going to be able to tell you exactly what I would recommend, because I've never actually done it. As far as what to apply now, so assuming you've got a soil test, you would apply fertilizer based on your soil test results. Outside of that, what I'll tell you, what I've done this year to kick the season off, if you go to shop and then lawn fertilizer, getting out your granular biostimulant in the form of carbonized PNG is an excellent thing to do this time of year. And then for my granular fertilizer, my first granular app of the season, what I used is the 12024. So it's a higher potassium fertilizer, great way to help wake the lawn up as it moves out of the winter temperatures into the warmer temperatures we're starting to experience now. And that is what I would apply. It really depends on where your lawn is, and if your lawn, you're beginning to see any green in your lawn, that will really drive your fertilizer input. Now, what I would recommend against is putting out like a bunch of high nitrogen right now. Like while the lawn is waking up, you don't really want to go out and like hit it with high amounts of nitrogen. You want it to slowly come in. You can use fertilizer with nitrogen in it, but you don't want to get out there and like spray, in my opinion, straight urea this time of year. I mean, you want to use something that has higher potassium, some N, that's fine, but you don't want to get out there and push a ton of growth when the lawn is still just really moving out of dormancy. All right. So to give you an example, so I took some video rather, of my lawn, the front lawn, because of the way the sun passes over the house. It gets plenty of sunlight, so I can show you how the front lawn is coming in. So you can see you've got some green there. This area here gets more sunlight this time of year than probably any other part of the lawn, so you can see how it's greening up really nicely all throughout there. The entire front lawn is beginning to come in quite nicely. And then the back lawn is also has some green. So you see there near the house, out there in the lawn, you can see some green, and all throughout it. Not sure what's coming through on video, but there's like a green fuzz. The green fuzz is present. The lawn is beginning to green up quite nicely, and I'm very happy with it. So you figure another week or two, you really should begin to light off, assuming that we get the temperatures cooperate. We are supposed to get a couple of days where the low is in the high 30s. It's only, I think it's like 2 days of that. And they're not even back to back. So hopefully that doesn't slow the Bermuda down too much. Most of the temps on the 10-day that I'm seeing here in Northeast Georgia are going to be in the 60s and 70s. So as long as that holds out, the lawn should continue to progress and come out of dormancy quite nicely. So great question, sir. Hopefully that helps. If you need anything else, do let me know. And yeah, so guys, on the topic of the front lawn, so this week I've been getting quotes as far as doing the sod renovation. So the front lawn currently is Bermuda grass. So the plan is to kill off the Bermuda and replace that with Zoysia for the front lawn and the strip in front of the front lawn. So it kind of looks uniform, right? It should be fun. I've narrowed it down to a couple of people. Really just want to hear their approach, how they would go about doing it, and as well as like what their plan is as far as getting rid of as much of the Bermuda as they can, as well as how much leveling work they're going to do and grading to make sure that it looks as nice as possible. Because all the front lawn looks okay. There are some contours, some uneven areas that I would like to get fixed now that we're going through a full renovation. So the couple of people that I've spoken to that I'm really narrowing it down to are on board with doing that. So when it does happen, you guys are going to get to see it all. I'm going to film it, film the process. I might even film me killing it off. I will probably do that. I'll give it another week or two for the lawn to wake up a little bit more, and then I'll start spraying Fusilade and glyphosate. This will use to control the Bermuda in the front lawn. It's going to be kind of painful. I'm not sure I can put that on video. I don't want you guys seeing me cry, because that lawn, to get it to where it is now, the Bermuda grass to get it where it is now, has taken many years. So to purposely kill it off is going to be a bit painful, even though I know I can always get it back, but it's just still going to hurt a little bit. So yeah, stay tuned for that. If you guys want to see a renovation of the front lawn, again, all of it being filmed, all of it being posted on YouTube, all the different platforms, definitely subscribe so you won't miss out on that. So should be good times. And as far as the timing for that, probably not March, but the first part of April is what I'm shooting for, depending on how the temperatures cooperate. We might be early to mid-April is when I think we're really going to get going as far as the renovation work goes. All right, next up we have Mikey Geester. Mikey Geester's in the live stream. He says, Ron, I threw down 14-7-14 on March 1st and greening up fast. Tomorrow, 901C, the golf course lawn micros, and I think NutriKelp via spoon feeding. Can't wait to see the results. Thanks for everything. You're very, very welcome, Mikey. Glad that it is working well, that your lawn's greening up nicely. Like you, I applied that combination, with the difference being, instead of the 14-7-14, I used the 12-0-24. But yes, on March 1st, that's what happened on my lawn, and it's responding quite nicely. nice gentle way to wake the lawn up, have it kind of ease into the season. So yeah, I'm liking it, man. I'm really looking forward to seeing how the lawn does this year. I got a lot planned for it between the front lawn and renovation. A top dress of the front lawn's gonna get top dressed obviously at some point this season as well too. That's why I'm really pushing to do it a bit earlier in the year if I can, so that I still have plenty of time for the Zoysia to root in, and hopefully by summerish time I can get out there and level it, put some sand on it. Right? We'll see. All right. Next up is Mr. Hayes says, I'm going to push growth a little bit. I'm going to put down a half rate of Milo and hit it with compaction cure, liquid calcium, liquid phosphorus, and not mixing Super Cal. Sounds like a plan. Sounds like you got a plan that you want to roll with. Keep us posted as far as how it goes. Next up is Jackie Bear. He says, and we're back. Have an excellent stream, brother. I holler. I appreciate you, Jackie. Thanks so much for coming by to say hi. I really do appreciate it. And then next up, we got Mr. Andrew Phillips. Andrew's in the house. He says, hello, Ron. It's warming up here in Texas, seeing some green in my Bermuda, but not far enough along to drop my first app. So, Andrew, you want to wait a little bit longer. Okay, I get it. We'll give it maybe 1 or 2 weeks more. Let's do some turf talk. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It should be a good time. So, on the topic of lawns greening up, Jason Harrison also sent some pictures of his lawn. So I can share that with you guys as well, too. So you can see how his lawn is coming in. The green is hitting. So that's the hero shot from the street. We have another shot there. You can definitely see the green starting to come in. I like it, Jason. It's looking clean. And the back lawn, again, green fuzz coming in really nicely. You can see the difference between his lawn and the lawn in the background, which is, I mean, still very much dormant. And then a little close-up picture that he sent us as well, showing how it's greening up. So you're looking good, Jason. I like it. Lawn is coming in nicely. And, what's interesting, in the email that he sent to me, he did exactly what I'd recommend, which is, once you see the lawn beginning to green up, you can get out there and start mowing. Put the mower on it, because that is going to help encourage new growth. It's going to help encourage it to green up faster. So yeah, you're not going to hurt anything this time of year once the lawn starts coming in to begin mowing it. So yeah, big thing is make sure your equipment's sharp. But yeah, it's great time to start mowing if you want to do so. Thanks so much for sending the pictures, Jason. Again, it was cool to show some other folks that, not just my lawn is greening up, but other lawns are beginning to come out of dormancy as well. All right. Next up is Keith Martin. Keith Martin is in the house. He says, I'm in Alabama. I have Bermuda grass. It's starting to green up about 25%. Okay. I have already done 75% of my scalp. Should I go ahead and throw down my high nitrogen granular, or should I wait? Well, Keith, if you want to put down a fertilizer that has some nitrogen in it, sure. Would I go out and apply a high nitrogen this part in the season? No, I would not. I'm not a fan of applying high nitrogen fertilizer as the first fertilizer that the grass sees in the season. Remember, it's still waking up. It's still coming out of dormancy. It's not really growing that quickly yet. So there's really no need to get out there and throw, a high nitrogen at it to start trying to push a bunch of growth. Let the lawn, give the lawn some food with a good fertilizer, but allow it to transition out of winter into spring on its timeline, and on the timeline that the weather is giving you. So I would not get out there and apply a high nitrogen fertilizer. If you want to use something that has, I'd say, less than 15% nitrogen, like that would be okay. But outside of that, I wouldn't get out there and say apply like straight urea this time of year. It's in my opinion too early, and you're just setting yourself up for potential problems as the season progresses. So glad to hear your lawn's greening up, but if it were me, I would not apply a high nitrogen fertilizer this time of year. Ninos Yokana's in the house. He says, hello at Ron and everyone else. What's going on, Ninos? Hopefully you're doing well, man. I know you're up north, so hopefully your lawn is doing okay. Hopefully you're also done with snow already for this time of year. Maybe it's wishful thinking for up north, but we can hope. And then we got Higgy Pop in the live stream. He says, happy Friday. Storms coming here in Georgia this weekend. Be safe, everyone. Yeah, definitely, Higgy. So, plenty of rain, which is nice. So if there's a product that you're planning to put down that needs to be watered in, would be good to get that done. It gets watered in for free. So that would be also nice. And Higgy, you also sent some pictures of your lawn as well last week that we didn't get on the show. From what I understand, you had some like utilities came through and they did some trenching in your lawn, and you were concerned about being able to fix the ruts and the damage that they did. You're going to be using the level mix from Supersod. You already got it already sitting there waiting to go, which I like. It's a great product, and showing us the damage. So I can see the ruts. Looks like They had some kind of a small tractor on the lawn there. And from what I am seeing, it doesn't look terribly bad. Like, a couple rounds of top dressing really should be able to clean that up. It's hard to see exactly how high your grass is, how tall your grass is, but just what I'm seeing in the pictures there, it doesn't look too bad. I mean, obviously, like that semicircle where you can see where the I guess the rut is, like that's likely going to take more sand in the surrounding areas. But I mean, a top dress or two this season really should clean that up. It doesn't look too bad that you shouldn't be able to get that all handled. Within, by the time summertime rolls around, that should be looking really good. So if it were me, I know you're in Northeast Georgia, you're not too far from me. I would look at late April, early May, again, weather cooperating, to do your first top dress. Again, go light, a quarter inch, half an inch of material in that area, and allow the grass to go through. And then you can analyze again come late May, June timeframe if you need to go out and do another application to get it exactly the way you want it. So sorry that you're dealing with that. Hopefully whatever they were doing for the utilities is making your neighborhood better. Maybe it's faster internet or whatever it happens to be. But yeah, at least compared to what I've seen, some pictures that I've gotten before from folks when they come and do utility work, I would say you got off pretty easily. Like I've seen it way worse than that. So yeah, if I can help with anything else, let me know. And yeah, you already got the material to get it all straightened out. So keep us posted as far as how it develops. All right, Randy is up next. Hey, Ron, got any height recommendations on common Bermuda? Thank you as always. So how high you mow common Bermuda really depends on how much time you have. Now, as far as it being able to be mowed, under half an inch and do as well as hybrid, typically not so much. But if you're going to maintain common Bermuda at 3/4 of an inch, that's going to be just fine. And if your ability to do that really is going to be based on how much time you have to mow, because the thing you have to keep in mind is the shorter you commit to mowing the lawn, the more frequently you have to mow it. So you think about the rule for grass, you really don't want to take off any more than 1/3 of the length of the grass at any given time. So if you're maintaining Bermuda at say an inch, then that's 0.33 inches, right? That you can take off in a given time. And the time it takes for your grass to grow 1/3 of an inch is longer than the time it takes for it to grow 1/4 of an inch, which you would do at like say 0.75. Or if you're at half an inch, like what does that math work out to? Like 0.17. So you see, as you go shorter, like the amount that the grass can grow before you need to mow it again is less and less. So that also means the time is less and less. So really the question of how short can you maintain it? 3/4 of an inch to an inch would be just fine. And it really is going to be dictated on your schedule. To maintain Bermuda at 3/4 of an inch, you can really do that mowing a couple times per week, assuming you're also using growth regulator. Into the hotter times of the year, when you get into like late June, July, you may have a period of 4 weeks there or so where you'll have to mow every other day if you want to not take off too much material and keep it looking nice between cuts. But 3/4 of an inch to an inch is very achievable with common Bermuda. So hope that helps, sir. Great question. Again, it really depends on you. That's when folks come up to me and say, hey, I want to maintain my Bermuda, 1/4 of an inch or 1/3 of an inch. I'm like, good luck, good luck. Hope you like cutting grass a lot. I hope you like spraying fungicide like regularly, because that's what you're going to be signing up for if you decide you're going to start doing that. It's interesting. Like, I always say that the shorter you go, the more frequently you have to mow. But I was corrected because someone once told me a better way of looking at it. And they said, Ron, really, what's more correct is the shorter you go, the more you have to do. Right. So whereas on, say, my lawn, right, when it's maintained at 3/4 of an inch, I can get by with applying a preventative fungicide in May and June. And that's really it until we get to the end of the year, October, November timeframe. Right. But if you look at golf greens, which are mowed much more frequently every day, like most golf courses that have greens that are in great shape, they're spraying fungicides on those greens monthly, sometimes every 3 weeks. You know what I mean? So the lower you go, you got to mow it more frequently. You have to maintain your equipment more because you have to ensure that you're not damaging, you're not tearing the grass because you're mowing it so much more frequently. And then because it's being stressed more, that's where fungicides just are going to become part of your program. So realize that when you decide to try and keep a lawn very short, you're not just signing up for more mowing, you're signing up for more, like just more everything, like more maintenance on your equipment, more inputs as far as preventative to keep the turf healthy. And for most people, in my opinion, it's just not worth all the effort. So I tell people, if you really want to be a baller with Bermuda grass lawn, 3/4 of an inch. You know what? If you want to start out at like 5/8, fine. But come May time frame, get to 3/4 of an inch and leave it there. The color is going to be better. It's going to stripe better. Real mowing is not going to ruin your life. Overall, I've done shorter than that, and I will tell you that, in my opinion, 3/4 of an inch is the best height for Bermuda grass lawn, assuming you've got the equipment to be able to do it. Okay, Colin is up next. C. Pims is in the live stream. He says, "What's up, Ron? Hopefully your Friday has been well. Tuning in for some good turf talk. It's been good, man. I got to tell you, it's becoming real. It's getting real. You know, the lawn's starting to green up. I've had some folks come by and look at the front lawn and getting quotes on doing the Xeon, and it's just, you know, I was literally talking to them and really having to say, yeah, we're gonna spray glyphosate, we're gonna clean it up, we're gonna scrape all the Bermuda out, we're gonna till it and do, you know, we're gonna try and get as much of the old plant out of the lawn as much as possible. And you know, while I'm sitting there just talking about it like a project, I mean, a part of me hurt a little bit. You know what I mean? Because I mean, I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into getting that little 2,500 square feet or so of Bermuda looking really nice, and it is a bit painful to, you know, come to terms that it's going to be going away here relatively soon. So it's been interesting. So it's been an interesting week, but it's fun. It's gonna make for some great content. It'll give me a chance to play with some Zoysia as well. Have my own plot of Zoysia to play with, which is kind of cool. So for that, I am excited. And again, some great content for you guys to also be able to look at as well too, right? Next up is Hail Demon. I guess not really a question. Next up is Dylan Moore. He says, "Do you have a good spot to buy liquid dithiopyr? I didn't see any on the golf course lawn store." You can look around online. I mean, there's several companies that carry it. We don't currently carry liquid dithiopyr Dimension at this point. Something we might add, but the majority of it is that most people really want granular or they like prodiamine. So we just haven't, just not something we haven't added as yet, Dylan. So just look around online. If you just Google, you know, Dimension liquid, you're gonna find like tons of stuff will come up on Google. You can choose from whoever you want to pick it up from. Yes, it's not something that we currently carry. I appreciate you thinking about us first, though. That's kind of cool. And if we do, you'll definitely know. We'll, you know, put out an announcement saying that we now have it, but not as yet. I doubt this season. Maybe next year. We'll see. All right. Next up is Colin. Bummed. He says, "I didn't get to use any of my Carbon Pro G. As I told you, the email I sent you, it would have been nice to put it down before all this rain we've had this week in Cali." Yeah. So Colin, he got a few bags of Carbon Pro G, and the ones that I guess what he had was they were expired. They were like from the place where he got it they were like from 2021. So that's definitely old for a granular biostimulant. So I guess he's gonna have to go to something else. Either they're gonna have to bring some fresher product in, or he'll go with something else. Who knows? Maybe carbonized PNG. But yeah, man, that is a bummer. You know, you're ready. You have your plans for the lawn. You're getting ready to get everything going the way you expect it to, and then you get some product that isn't going to work out. But you know, that should be able to get you some replacement here fairly easily. I would think so. Keep us posted as far as how it goes, though. All right, Colin Morris is up next. He says, "Hey, Ron, I'm in Southern Illinois area with a lawn I seeded in the fall of 2024. I plan to overseed this coming fall. Should I hold off on prodiamine applications?" Yeah, I would. I mean, if you established the lawn this past fall, so less than six months or so ago, a bit early for using pre-emergent on a cool season lawn, and if you're planning to put down grass seed again this fall, then yeah, I would just avoid pre-emergent. So in your case, to manage weeds in your lawn, you're going to focus on growing a really thick and healthy lawn, which makes it just more difficult for weeds to even establish. And then when needed, you can use post-emergent herbicides like a 3-way, tenacity, sedgehammer, depending on what you're dealing with in your lawn. But if you're planning on overseeding this fall, then yeah, I would hold off. And especially given this new grass, I would as well too. Now, one question, Colin, you didn't we didn't really get into, is overseeding something you're just going to continue to do every year, like spring and fall, or is it something you're just doing to get the lawn thickened up and then you're going to move away from that? Because I will tell you that pre-emergent, as far as like making your life a whole lot less painful when it comes to just managing weeds and controlling weeds in your lawn, pre-emergent is a really good thing to have in your program. So some folks will get out there and just have the habit of, it's springtime, so I'm overseed, and it's fall, I'm gonna overseed. And unless the lawn really needs it, you know, it's not something that I would necessarily commit to doing every single year, unless you know that you always have damage and you always have to, you know, reestablish the lawn using grass seed, because you are giving up, in my opinion, a really good tool for reducing the amount of headache you're gonna have in your lawn as far as managing weeds. So just something to think about. So hope that helps, sir. And yes, I would avoid pre-emergent if you are planning on, given that it's a brand new lawn and that you're also going to overseed again, maybe in the spring and again, definitely in the fall. All right, J-Boy is up next. He says, I live in North Texas. Can I level with sand now? Depends on how your grass is looking. I would be venture to say no, J-Boy, unless your lawn is greened up and you're regularly mowing it. It's a bit early, in my opinion, for top dressing. Now, if you decide you're going to go out there and you're going to go top dress your lawn, are you going to kill your Bermuda grass? Probably not. It is going to stress it. It is going to take longer for it to grow through. There's not any real reason to do it now versus waiting 6 weeks. If you wait 4 to 6 weeks, the lawn's going to be growing in. It's going to be out of dormancy. You're going to be mowing it. It's going to recover faster from from any sand or material that you put down in the lawn. One of the reasons why I try and discourage people from top dressing lawns when they're dormant, even though some people do it, is especially if your lawn is not flat. If you have any heavy amount of rain, like we're supposed to get some thunderstorms here in Georgia this weekend, right? Or if you have a heavy rainfall and you're basically putting sand on dormant grass, and especially if you're going a bit heavy, what you're going to tend to find is rain's going to hit, you're going to have this big thunderstorm, and the sand's going to get moved around. It's going to make a bit of a mess. Whereas if you wait until mid to late April, early May time frame, and you do your leveling project, the grass will be actively growing through. It's going to help hold on to the sand and keep it in place. You're really not losing anything by just waiting a bit more. So if for me, I would tell you no. It's in my opinion, it's a bit too early for any kind of a lawn leveling project. So hope that helps, sir. Ultimately your call, but not something that I would do this time of year. Just give it some time, man. Give it some time. Give it some time. All right, Oliver Rittam is up next. What's going on, Oliver? He says, happy Friday, Ron. Lawn is tall. Can't get my scalp in for the past 2 weeks due to crazy weather. In Texas, we've been having 50 to 65-mile-per-hour winds. Wow. Then other days we'll have rain or hail or some tornadoes. Dude, that's crazy. Yeah, well, but first of all, be safe. Given where the lawn ended last season, I am sure that you're gonna tame it. You're gonna get it looking its absolute best. Don't sweat. I'm sure you're gonna be just fine. And here's the thing. You say it's tall. Is it tall? Is it like Oliver tall, or is it tall like what most people would consider tall? For you, you probably look at the lawn. It's like an inch and a half. You're like, man, this thing is just out of hand. I can't send pictures of this. Folks are going to think I've lost my way. So what are we talking about with tall here? Probably, in your case, probably an inch and a half is probably tall for you. But yeah, don't worry about it, man. You still got plenty of time. You'll be able to scalp the lawn, and it will take off here in no time. No need to be concerned. Okay, next up is DB. He says, I have a St. Augustine, and I want to elevate my lawn. What do you recommend for spoon feeding and biostimulants? Great question, DB. So what I would tell you is, for spoon feeding, I like to use a combination of granular and liquid fertilizers. Now, which granular fertilizer is going to be determined based on soil test results. So if you get some soil test data, you'll know what your soil is lacking, and then based on that, you can determine what you want to use for granular fertilizer. I can tell you what I'm gonna do on my lawn, so you can use this as an example, all right? So if you go to the golf course lawn store, if you go to shop and lawn fertilizer, for my granular fertilizer, starting next month, I'm going to be switching to Humic Max, so 1608. This is what I'm going to be using every month, beginning of the month, at a relatively low rate. So half a pound of nitrogen is what I'm going to be applying from granular fertilizer. That, with this product, that has me putting it down at 3 pounds per thousand, which again works out math-wise to about just under half a pound of nitrogen. Along with that, I'll be spraying the golf course lawn 22-3 liquid fertilizer. I'll be applying at a rate of 6 ounces per thousand, which equates to 1/10 of a pound of nitrogen. And then once I start this next month in April, it will be every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, my lawn will get sprayed with liquid fertilizers really until the end of the season. With the granular fertilizer and the liquids, what else is going in the tank is the Release Zero carbon kit. So this is where the biostimulants come in. This guy, you have Release Zero, which is 10% micronized carbon. It really helps any liquid products that you mix with it to work better. It helps maximize uptake. NutriKelp helps with stress management in the lawn. Again, this is a 24% kelp product. Really, really like this. This has always been part of the Golf Course Lawn Carbon Kit. And then finally, Biospectrum, which is a microbial food to help your fertilizer to work better. It's going to help encourage to increase the amount of healthy bacteria in the soil, which helps your fertilizer to be more efficient. So in my case, the Release Zero Carbon Kit mixed with the 22-3 fertilizer, that's going to happen every 2 weeks. And then the granular fertilizer once per month. That is my program. And you could do something similar. A lot of folks do exactly that and they get great results in their lawn. The only thing that will change as the season, or that will get added, I should say, as the season progresses, is when we get into, say, like May timeframe, the lawn is fully greened up, it's doing well, living its best life, it's starting to really accelerate as far as how fast it's growing. That is when I will start adding Primo Max and a new EZ to the tank. I'll start adding growth regulator to that mix. But the core blend, which is the Release Zero, NutriKelp, Biospectrum, and then the 22-3 fertilizer, like that will be a constant throughout the entire season. It'll just be the growth regulator that goes along with it. And that will work well. You could do something like that for your St. Augustine lawn. There's lots of folks in Florida that use our program that get great results with it. And then once you do that, once you have your granular and liquid fertilizer program, you're doing that, again, granular once per month, liquids every 2 weeks. The only thing that's really left to help elevate your lawn is mowing, right? So the thing that's going to really help really set the appearance of your lawn apart from your neighbors is regular mowing. So if you can commit to mowing a couple times per week, that is really going to be the thing that's going to help you set the standard. The only other thing I might recommend for a St. Augustine lawn is when you get into like May timeframe, is applying a preventative fungicide. So the months of May and June are a good time to do that. That's when temperatures are getting warmer, but there's also tends to be more humidity, meaning we're getting like a lot of the spring rain, and the conditions are such that if your lawn is going to develop a disease problem like brown patch, like large patch in your lawn, it's more likely to happen during those months. So a preventative fungicide application in May and June are good, cheap insurance, in my opinion, to keep the lawn looking its absolute best. Now, I threw it a lot at you, but you know what? All of this is documented for you, DB. I'm not sure if you knew that, but I'm gonna help you out here. If you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store, go to Resources and Lawn Care Schedule, and you go to Monthly Application Schedule, you'll see here we have a month-by-month breakdown of what we recommend. Your core aeration, if you have a cool season lawn, you're gonna be overseeding, when you can be doing that. Your insecticide apps, your fungicide apps, and growth regulator. Pretty much it breaks down everything from February all the way through November. Folks all over the country with both cool and warm season lawns follow this, and they get really great results. So I'll link this in the chat for you as well, so you can read through that. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and we will do our best to help you out. But I like it, man. You're committing to an amazing lawn this year, and you can absolutely do it. Like I got some pictures of a lawn last week of a St. Augustine lawn, man, that looked incredible. So I got them. I think they're still here. Yeah, look at that. I mean, that is clean, man. Even if you're not a huge fan of St. Augustine, you got to respect that. I mean, that is something else. Beautiful. So your lawn can look like that, or maybe even better. Who knows, right? Regular mowing, good nutrient program, and time. And it's pretty hard to not get a great result. Hope that helps, sir. Mars Beads is in the chat. She says, Ron, I did my first mow yesterday. Yay for that. I've set my soil test, and we'll see what it says. Getting some rain the next 2 days. Aren't we all in the Southeast? And after which I'll put down the Essential G I won in the giveaway. Haven't had the time. Nice. Very, very cool. So you did your mow. You got your soil test done. Here's the thing, though. If you got rain coming in, Mars, there's no reason to not do your Essential G before, right? Because it needs to be watered in, and if you're getting free water, it's not like a great time to do it. I mean, you can always wait if you want to, but there's no reason to not get it down, given that there's rain in the forecast, in my opinion, because it just saves you having to drag hoses out there or turn on your irrigation. And yeah, now's a great time of year to get it to do that. So just a thought. Quincy Cordoba is up next. It says, hey, Ron, have you ever examined the differences between the surfactants on the market by testing some acidified, decreased droplet size, along with breaking down the waxy surface of the leaf? No, not really. Not really, Quincy. So I primarily use like a spreader sticker for most herbicides. If you are using quinclorac, and you are spraying, you're trying to say control crabgrass. Surfactant works well, but if you wanted to use an MSO, like a methylated seed oil, you can do that. Like some folks like the results they get when they're spraying conchloric on crabgrass when they're using an MSO. The thing you got to be careful with is that MSO definitely makes it hotter. Like it makes, as far as the chance of you having some discoloration, it does go up if you start adding like a methylated seed oil to your herbicides, which is what I tell most folks to stick to surfactant. But it sounds like you're someone that is well versed on your spray adjuvants. So if you want to get out there and use some MSO or something else, then you absolutely can. I've not done a bunch of testing outside of MSO and the spreader sticker. And for most people, I just kind of point them here because this produces really good results, and without making the blend. So again, I hate to use the word hot, but just increasing the chances of you having some discoloration in your lawn. Because most people will say that, yeah, I'm fine, I want the weeds gone, I don't really care if I get a little bit of yellowing, but realistically, they don't want their lawn turning yellow. They don't want it losing its color. So surfactant, like a spreader sticker, is a safer recommendation than a methylated seed oil for most people. So hope that helps, sir. Next up is, it's Korean Rich. Korean Rich, I like it. You're Korean Rich, okay. He says, sorry if this question's been asked or is off topic. It's definitely off topic, but we're gonna answer it anyway because you already asked. I mean, in your case, you just want what you want, so we're gonna try and oblige. He says, can you recommend grass seed companies? Depends on the kind of grass seed you're after. So all jokes aside, it's Korean Rich. For warm season grass, the company that I've gotten grass seed from in the past and had nothing but great results with is a company called Hancock Seed. I believe they are in Florida. I think Lakeland, Florida. So look up Hancock Seed, H-A-N. I'll see if I can find the link and send it to you. I mean, I'm not affiliated with them in any kind of way, but I mean, they've just worked really well with me as far as warm season grass seed that I've gotten from them in the past. As far as cool season grass seed, man, the sky's the limit. What I typically point people at is Barenbrug, because they make a quality grass seed. The folks that have used that recommendation, I've never had any negative feedback from it. So you could absolutely look into that. I mean, Hancock, I believe, also covers grass seed that's not only for warm season grass. Like they have everything. So you might also talk to them as well. But here is a link to them for you, sir. Reach out to them and then see what they, actually I'll just link it here. You're on Instagram. I will link it right here. Again, yeah, give them a look and see what they come back with. And again, they're great to work with. You know what I mean? As far as they ship fast, the seed they always supplied was always great quality. So yeah, that's who I would reach out to. There's others, but that's one that I have direct experience with. Okay. And yeah, it was off topic, but it's okay, man. We're gonna let it slide this time. Next up is Frank V. He says, hey, Ron, when mowing with a real mower, what's the secret to getting the edges right? The edges on my sloped yard never get cut by my push reel mower as it feels unlevel. Any help? Yeah, so I can tell you what I've done. So if you say this is our sloped lawn, right? What I will tend to do when I mow the front lawn, and you guys have probably seen me do this on video, is the first thing is I'll do a trim pass. And I'm kind of weird and super anal about this. So you may do this, or here's what I do, and you can decide if it's for you or not. Okay. So I do a trim pass all the way around the lawn, and then I mow diagonally. So I will start here, just kind of work my way all the way across the lawn like that. And then when I'm done, I do another pass all the way around the border, and that does a pretty good job as far as producing a good quality cut. Now, if your lawn is, depending on how severe the slope is, and you have a sidewalk there, what you're gonna find is there's gonna be for lack of a better term, it's like no man's land. Like you can't get the mower low enough on the slope to where it gets you a nice even cut, because the wheels are riding on the sidewalk, which kind of makes the mower kind of pop up a little bit. It's not riding on the same level as it would be on the actual lawn itself. In that case, what you end up with is just using either a string trimmer, or if you're really a baller, you get yourself a set of rotary scissors, and that's how you get an edge that is along the lines of what your real mower will produce. So it really depends on how sloped your lawn is, and whether or not your real mower is going to be able to get right to the edge. On my lawn, on the top, I can. On the bottom, I can't. It's probably maybe an inch or so that it just does not cut as well as the rest of the lawn. And that's where I break out the rotary scissors and just make one pass, and then it looks great. So what you're experiencing is not abnormal. I would say look into some rotary scissors, because that is going to, as far as getting a finish that is going to mirror your reel mower, meaning someone that looks at it is not going to be able to tell that it wasn't all reel mode. A rotary scissors is going to do a really nice job. String trimmer is okay, but it just tends to like tear, and it is not as nice. It doesn't do as clean of a job, cutting the grass at the edges. So they are expensive, but I think personally they're worth the investment if you really want that manicured look around mailboxes, around fence lines, along where the grass meets the sidewalk when you're at a slope. Like that's where those pieces of equipment, in my opinion, really, really shine. So hope that helps, Frank V. And it's funny, I never even wanted to get one, because everyone had one saying, Ron, you got to get one, man. They're super awesome. I'm like, man, you don't really, how good could they really be, man? You don't really need rotary scissors. Just another piece of equipment I got to take care of. I got to maintain it, and I got to sharpen it. It's just one more piece of equipment in the garage. And then I'll tell you, man, it's one of these things that it's one of those things you never knew you always needed. You know what I mean? It's if you already have a reel mower, it's just it's one of those things you never knew you always needed. It's probably the best way of describing it. It is a very niche piece of equipment, but what it does, it's there's nothing really that really can replicate what it does at the quality that it does. So hope that helps, Frank. And you're saying, I have a push reel mower Earthwise. I wish it had a front roller, but it's only got a rear roller. That's still fine. Even if you had a powered reel mower, depending on the slope and how that slope meets the sidewalk, you're going to be in the same boat. I'd almost argue that you'll probably be able to get closer to the edge with a push reel mower than you can with some powered reel mower. So you're still going to need either a string trimmer or a rotary scissors to really finish it up and give it that manicured look. All right, Brandon Moon is up next. He says, hey, Ron, I hope you guys are not in the way of the bad weather coming through. Just stop by to get some tips and show some support. I really appreciate it, Brandon. We are, but I mean, it's just going to be some rain, man. It's going to be all right. This too shall pass. The thing is, we live so far inland, at least where I am in Georgia, that yes, we'll probably get some wind and rain from it. I mean, famous not swirls, right? But it's not. It shouldn't be anything that's insane. You figure if where I am in Georgia, we get storms with 70 and 80 mile an hour winds, then the rest, like the path that storm had to go through, is going to be in really bad shape. So hopefully, it turns out to be just a lot of rain, which I'd absolutely welcome, but not a whole lot of wind or anything else that causes damage. We shall see. And if it does, this too shall pass. Nothing really to be too concerned about. Mark is up next. He says, I did a soil test. My N and K are low, as well as some micros. I ordered the micronutrient blend, liquid fertilizer with 2% iron. Should I also do a fertilizer or just start with the micro? Great question, Mark. So in your case with your N and K low, this is what I would do, especially given the time of year. I would put you in the Stress 12-0-24 fertilizer. This is a great option to start the season out, especially in your case where your soil test results have showed that your nitrogen, which is the 12 in the analysis, and your potassium, which is the 24 in the analysis, are low. So this paired with your micros would be a great combo to help bring all those levels up. And it's a great way to start the season out as far as just feeding your lawn. So I'll send you a link here in the chat to this product, and hopefully that gets you all squared away, sir. That is what I would do if it were me, based on the soil test results that you shared. So thanks so much for that, and hopefully this is useful. And you know what, Mark, I'm not sure if you really want this, but you will get to be, I think, a short, because that's a question that someone else is going to have at some point. So we'll save that, and someone else will be able to benefit from your question. How's that? R. Kim is up next. He says, hey, Ron, do you have any recommendations on which seeds to use? I have some serious bare spots from last year, and I want to do it correctly this time around. Let me take a sip of my lemonade, because this is not going to be a short answer. So if you have a warm season lawn, so Bermuda grass, Zoysia grass, St. Augustine grass, and you have bare spots, in my opinion, grass seed is not the way to correct that. That is not the way to fix it. If you have bare spots in your lawn, the thing we want to figure out is, why do we have the bare spots? Is it not enough sunlight? Is it a nutrient problem? Is it potentially a disease problem? Is there some debris underneath the surface of the soil, like plywood or something else, that's causing the grass to not be able to do well there? We want to be a detective and figure out, 20 feet over there, lawn looks fabulous, looks spectacular. But right here, the lawn does not look great. Why is, like, what's different about this part of the lawn that's different to that part of the lawn? And for most people, it's sunlight. Sunlight is the thing that most people struggle with warm season lawns, that will definitely cause the lawn to be thin and for you to have bare spots, excessive wear. So if you've got an area that, pets play in, or people, just there's a lot of traffic, that can also cause bare spots. But grass seed just isn't something I would really recommend for helping to correct that. If it is, especially if it's a warm season lawn, because here's why. If you take Bermuda grass, which is, let's say you have a Bermuda lawn and it's a more than likely it's going to be hybrid Bermuda if your house came with it, right? Most of the time they're installing Tifway 419. So if you go out and you go to one of the stores or even online and get yourself some Bermuda grass seed, that grass seed is going to be an improved common Bermuda, which, while it looks really nice, is typically going to have a thicker blade. It's going to be, in a lot of cases, the color is not going to be quite as dark as your hybrids, and the growth rate of it is a bit different to hybrids. In my opinion, the common grows a bit faster and a bit less dense than the hybrid does. So for that reason, you really don't want to introduce common Bermuda into a hybrid Bermuda lawn, because once you do it, you can't really get rid of it. There's not an easy way, there's not a selective way of getting common Bermuda out of a hybrid Bermuda lawn. So for that reason, for those reasons and a bunch of others, I really would not use grass seed as a way to fix a bare spot in a warm season lawn. So let's say now we've done our homework. There's a bunch of shade and we can help correct that. We can cut the trees back, or we can move some shrubs, or we can do whatever we need to do. And now there's more sunlight. We fix the problem. There's no more issues or conditions that are causing the area to be bare. How can you speed up the recovery? So in that case, if you have some parts of the lawn that are doing really well, you can transfer plugs from those areas. So you're taking, basically vegetation from your existing grass and you're moving into those bare spots. That way, what's going to happen is, while your grass will now spread and fill in from the outsides, because now the conditions are better, you'll also have some plugs in the middle that are also going to grow out, which is going to help the lawn to reestablish or help fill in that bare spot that much faster. So that is what I would tell you, assuming you have a warm season lawn. Again, Bermuda, Zoysia, St. Augustine. If you have a cool season lawn, like a ryegrass, a fescue, any of the more bunching growth type grasses, then yeah, I mean, if you have a bare spot that maybe was damaged from winter kill, maybe traffic, in that case, then using grass seed as a way to help fill that in is definitely an approach. But again, that's something I really would only reserve for cool season lawns. I would not do that on a warm season lawn. Zoysia, again, you don't want to introduce a different type of grass seed to where it's not going to match. Seeded St. Augustine really isn't a thing, for all intents and purposes. And Bermuda, you're just really going to create a mess that you're not going to really be able to easily undo if you decide to go that route. So I don't know what kind of grass you have, which kind of been useful for this, but what I will tell you, and this is something that really applies to all problems in your lawn. If you have a bare spot in your lawn, instead of just looking at ways of just correcting that, try and figure out why it's happening. Because think about it, grass wants to grow. Grass wants to grow everywhere where conditions are correct for it to grow. So if it's not growing there, we need to figure out why that is. If you have disease problems in your lawn, yes, you can use a fungicide to help correct that. But if you're always having a constant issue, maybe look at your program. Am I putting out high nitrogen fertilizer too early in the season? Am I overwatering the lawn? Is there a drainage problem? Look at the stuff that are the environmental factors that are causing the issue to even happen, and try and correct that. And then when you use take the curative aspect of it, like using your fungicide, one, you're going to get more out of it, and you're not going to have to rely on it nearly as much. So long answer to a relatively short question. Hopefully that's useful for you, R. Kim. And again, if I knew what kind of grass you had, it would be easier. But I gave you my thoughts on both cool season and warm season grass. For the most part, if it's a warm season lawn, don't do it. If it's a cool season lawn, I guess if you got reason to do it due to damage from the winter or whatever, then fine. But for warm season turf grass, not a good idea. Not a good idea. All right, next up is simple cash offer. Simple cash offer. You know what? I went on for a while on that one, but we'll see if I can cut it up and make it work. All right. Simple cash offers up next. He says, "Good evening, Ron, here in the Midwest, Northwest Indiana. Just got my soil test. I need to dethatch and relieve compaction. Your thoughts?" If you want to thin out the lawn a bit, I'm all for that. When I hear the word dethatch, I think of the metal blades, the hooks, and just people being way too aggressive on the lawn than they need to be. If you're talking about, again, turf raking it, verticutting it, doing some gentle, more gentle, less aggressive approaches for thinning the lawn out, like I think that would be all right. As far as relieving compaction, core aeration, in my opinion, is the best way to do that. You know what I mean? So you can, there's different ways of going about it, but nothing really beats, punching holes and removing plugs from the soil profile. Just kind of help the lawn, gives it voids for it to be able to relax into. If you're going to be fertilizing or putting out a granular biostimulant, you're going to be fast tracking that into the soil. So there's just tons of benefits to doing core aeration. So that is what I would use for relieving compaction. And then, if you're going to be thinning the lawn out, if you're going to be dethatching it, I would just tell you just to not go too aggressive. You know what I mean? Because you can actually just cause more harm and unnecessary stress without the upsides. So good job getting a soil test done, which is pretty awesome. And based on that, feed the lawn based on your soil test results, and keep us posted as far as how it does, man. Sounds like a great start to the season. All right, Jeff Hiroji has entered the chat. He says, "Hey Ron, when will Bermuda lawn be safe for pets after applying 12-0-24? Are there any general rules of thumb to follow with pets? Thanks, great stuff." Yeah, so great question, Jeff. When it comes to applying a granular fertilizer, and this really applies to granular fertilizer, most really any lawn inputs, unless the label says something different. If you are applying fertilizer, granular pre-emergent, herbicides, the general rule is you apply the product. If it needs to be watered in, you water it in, and then you wait for the lawn to dry. Once it is dried, then people and pets can re-enter the lawn. If you go look at the little sign yards that most of the services will stick in the lawn, they'll say exactly that. Wait till the lawn is dried, or some of them will say wait till the following day. So if you want to be super conservative, you could simply wait until the following day before you allow people and or pets on the lawn. But if you were to go out tomorrow morning and apply 12-0-24, run your irrigation, so by 9 o'clock you're done with applying your fertilizer, watering it in by 2 or 3 in the afternoon, you could be back out in the lawn if you wanted to. And again, that's just general rule when it comes to applying lawn care products. You want the product to be applied, and if it calls for water to be watered in, you want to do that. And then once you've done that, allow it to dry, and then you're good to go to re-enter. So hope that helps, Jeff. Great question, and yeah, good. Have some fun with putting out the 12-0-24. The nice thing about that, I'm not sure if you opened the bag of the fertilizer as yet, Jeff, but the product is so fine that literally when you put it out, you're not even really going to see it. I mean, I have it here. This is what the 12-0-24 looks like. Look, so for an example reference, this is the tip of a pen, and then that's the fertilizer. So you can see it's almost like a fine powder. I mean, this stuff goes down and you literally will not see it. It just disappears. So it's not going to take a whole lot as far as watering it in to get it down in the soil profile. So again, if you want to apply it tomorrow morning, water it in, and then get back out on the lawn, you can absolutely do so. All right, Quincy Cordoba is up next. Is put down my second app of propiconazole today to protect my zoysia from large patch. Highly recommend it. Nothing such your hard work back like disease. Yeah, man, I'm with you on that, Quincy. So especially if you have a history of disease in your lawn this time of year, yeah, definitely get a fungicide application out. So in my case, what I recommend for most people is in May and then June. So early May, early June, get your fungicide app out from a preventative standpoint. However, if you've got a history of disease of, say, large patch in your lawn in like late March, early April, get your fungicide app out then. Like to your point, you really want to prevent this problem more so than treat it after the fact. And depending on the kind of zoysia you have, some of them can be more disease prone than others. So yeah, like I know like with Real Rollers Turf Park, not this past year, but a couple of years ago, Lee has some El Toro zoysia, and there's an area in the turf park in that plot that it just wasn't draining. Like it would rain really heavily and water would just literally settle and pool there, and it just got eaten up with disease. It was really bad. So I got out there with some Pillar SC, we cleaned it up, and then the following later on in that season, he got it top dress, and it's been a lot better since then. But yeah, especially pretty any grass, but really zoysia, you don't want excessive amounts of water sitting on the lawn for long periods of time. You're going to have disease problems if you do that. So nice job, man. Sounds like hopefully that fungicide app works for you. Robert Rainey's up next. Says, good evening, everyone. What's going on, Robert? Hopefully you're doing well, sir. Appreciate you coming to hang out in the live stream. Always welcome. And then next up, we have Sandy Reed. Sandy, I don't think I've ever seen you in the live stream before, so if you are new, welcome. It says, one of two. You say it's okay to combine pre and post-emergence at the same time. What tip should I use? One needs to go in the soil and one needs to stay on the leaf. I have a 4-gallon sprayer. Thanks. Great. It's a great question, Sandy. So the only time when I would really apply and mix pre-emergent and post-emergent herbicides is if you're really just trying to save time. The best way to do it is to apply your pre-emergent and then come back and apply your post-emergent herbicide. Reason being is not so much for the spray tip, but for you to get the most out of your post-emergent herbicide, let's really maximize the results, you really want to use surfactant with it. And if you're mixing, say, prodiamine, Celsius, and Certainty, you really don't want to put surfactant in along with that because this is going to cause the pre-emergent to stick to the leaf of the plant, which we don't want. So whenever you're applying pre-emergent, you're mixing pre-emergent and post-emergent herbicides, I look at it from a standpoint and I say, of the two different products I'm applying, which is more important that I get right? Like which of them is based on timing that if I had to do it like, again, 3 or 4 weeks from now, it's going to be less, it's going to work not as well. And based on that, what I always tell folks, and what I've done personally myself when I've sprayed pre and post emergence is I have opted for a flood jet tip. So I've opted for the spray tip that is appropriate for pre-emergent. And what I've done is I'll go out and I will mix the combination together, spray it. And normally you'd want to water pre-emergent in immediately after application if you can. But what I do instead is because I want to give the post-emergent herbicides enough time to be absorbed by the leaf of the weed that we're targeting. Say if I went out and sprayed tomorrow morning, I would let it just sit there all day. And then the following day, so say Sunday, that's when I would run irrigation to water the pre-emergent in. So I opt for the flood jet tip whenever I'm mixing pre and post-emergent herbicides. And the only reason I would ever really do that is if I just don't feel like walking over the lawn twice. If I'm just like, when I did it on the neighbor's lawn, I was doing it as kind of a favor for them. And I didn't feel like their lawn's actually pretty big. It's like 12,000 square feet. And I didn't feel like doing the entire thing twice. So in that case, I mixed them all together and sprayed it. But if you have the time to do it, a better way is to mix up your pre-emergent, apply that using a flood jet tip, and then when you're ready to go out and control, take care of the weeds that are existing in your lawn, you mix your post-emergent herbicides, use surfactant as well in the tank, and then you use a fine droplet tip, like that. It's going to do a better job coating the leaf of the weeds you're targeting. The surfactant is going to help with the uptake. Just overall, you're just going to get a better result. So the only reason to do that, in my opinion, is just time saving. If you don't have the time to do it, or you don't have the desire to go over the lawn twice. So hope that helps. The question you're probably going to ask me next is, where can I get said spray tip? Because you're pointing around, you're showing me all these spray tips. Which one should I go with? All right, so I got you covered. This here in the chat, that is the flood jet spray tip, which is the white spray nozzle, produces a large droplet size. And then this one is the foliar spray tip, which produces a fine droplet size. So this guy is the one that pretty much lives on my sprayer for the most part throughout the season. I use this for herbicides, for liquid fertilizer, for growth regulator, pretty much everything that doesn't need to get in the soil, which is most of the stuff that I spray on my lawn, is what I use the red tip for. So this guy, again, lives on my sprayer most of the time. And this guy just gets used for pre-emergent, for fungicide, for insecticides, only a couple times out of the year. All right, so that's part one of two. It's part 2 of 2. You said, I sent you pics. Okay. What am I getting pictures of? You said, is it okay? You said, is it okay to use the flood jet tip on this combination? Yeah, so looks like you're dealing with some Poa annua in your lawn as well, Sandy. All right, so let's show folks. I saw it, let everyone else see it as well too. Okay, so your lawn, nothing to be too concerned about. This looks like, a lot of the lawns around here this time of year when people don't apply the pre-emergent, the fall pre-emergent, looks like you've got some Poa, and I can't tell, maybe some broadleaf weeds in there. There looks like some Poa, and maybe some broadleaf weeds. Okay, so another option. Okay, so for Poa annua, if you're looking to control that, the best herbicide, in my opinion, for controlling Poa is Certainty. This is what I would use. This, along with surfactant, will do a number on Poa annua as long as you spray at the right rates. Something you could consider doing as well too is you could use, if you're going to go out and spray pre-emergent, you could mix Image and Mazaquin along with your pre-emergent, because Image, much like your pre-emergent, needs to be watered in. So you could do a combination of Image and pre-emergent with the flood jet tip. And in that case, you're doing it all right, because both of them need to be watered in. And then you could still, if you wanted to come back and just spot spray those areas with certainty, you could do that as well too. So it just depends on what you're really after. In my opinion, if all you're looking to do is get rid of the POA, this is the best option. If you want another option for it, that will work, it's just a lot slower, is you could, again, mix some Image, some Mazaquin in the tank along with your pre-emergent app. And I think I have a video showing how I did this. It's one way of doing it. I mean, it's not like, when I show something, it's not the only way to do it, but it's just one way to do it, and I find that it works. It worked pretty well. Let us see here. It's an older video of mine, but I should be able to dig it up. And yep, here we go. Found it. Yay for search. Okay, so yeah, you can watch this. That literally is exactly what I'm telling you about, which is pre-emergent, prodiamine, and a Mazaquin / Image. And you know, take a look at that, and that'll get you on the right track. So let me see, pre-em and Image video. So yeah, take a look there, watch it a couple times, but again, certainty with surfactant, really the way you want to go, in my opinion. Hope that helps. And if you're a new viewer, welcome. Super great question, really appreciate it. Sorry you're dealing with the weeds in your lawn, but you're on your way to getting rid of them. So yeah, if I can help with anything else, let me know. All right, Jonathan Daza is up next. Hey Ron, looking forward to today's show. I recently did my soil testing and my lawn's NPK came back with very high phosphorus. I'm using Humic Max 1608. Any other suggestions on how to fix this? No, not really. What I'll tell you, Jonathan, is just don't apply fertilizers that have phosphorus. Definitely not any granular fertilizers that have phosphorus in them. And that's going to really be your best bet. So if you've got adequate amounts of adequate amounts of phosphorus in your soil, just rely on a fertilizer that has nitrogen and potassium in it, and go on with your life. You should be just fine. I would just not, there's not really an easy way to reduce it. Like, you can't really, there's not an easy way to reduce phosphorus levels in a vacuum. Like, if you decide to pull out, if you try and, say you start bagging all your clippings, right, and throwing them out, like, that's one way to return less nutrient to the soil. So that's one approach some people will take, but it doesn't only affect phosphorus, it affects everything, right? So like, if you mulch your clippings back into the lawn, it's like free fertilizer. You can almost look at it like getting like another fertilizer application over the entire season if you mulch your clippings back into the lawn over the whole year, right? But what some folks have tried to do is say, well, I want to try and lower, like, you know, P levels. So I'm going to bag all my clippings and not return them. But the problem is, it's not just phosphorus that you are removing, it's everything else. So what I tell folks is just not really worry about it. Just don't go out there and don't be applying, like, say, triple superphosphate on your lawn, obviously, because you don't need it. Just use a fertilizer like Humic Max, like a fertilizer that has, you know, the nitrogen, zero phosphorus, and then potassium. So as long as that middle number is a 0, you're really good to go. Okay, that is how I would go about it. And you said also, my boron is super low. What recommendations do you have to improve my boron and sulfur? Okay, so a couple things. When it comes to sulfur, the fertilizers that we carry from Lebanon Turf, so all the Humic fertilizers have sulfur in them. And then as far as your boron, this is what I would point you towards. So any of these, we'll go real quick here, go to shop and lawn fertilizer. Any of these guys will have sulfur in them in various amounts. And then for your micronutrient, this is what I would point you towards. This guy right here. That's what I would use. It has all of them. Your iron, copper, boron, zinc, molybdenum, all of them. So this is what I would use if you're looking to bring those levels up. And pairing that with Humic Max, the 1608 that you're using, is a great plan. All right. So good stuff, Jonathan. Hopefully that helps, sir. And sounds like you're on your way. Don't stress it. Don't worry too much about the P levels. Just don't add more phosphorus. And guys, we're an hour in so far. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the show. If you are, whatever platform you happen to be on, please hit that like button. It costs you absolutely nothing. Free way to support the channel. Really would appreciate it. All right, next up is Randy. He says, I had another question for you. I just got soil test back, and nitrogen with 2.32 and potassium 18 and being low, and then high pH. What are your thoughts on how to correct this? All right, so it sounds like you have low N and low potassium. So the phosphorus is fine. You have low N, low K, and high pH. Okay, so you'd use a fertilizer that, like, I'll show you a couple options here. So for you, in your case, assuming I'm reading this correctly, either of these guys, so Humic Max 1608 or the Stress 12024, either of these two would be appropriate for your granular fertilizer input. And then as far as lowering the pH, Randy, you're going to want to use a sulfur of some sort. So you're 7.3. Yeah, I would address that. So there's a product that I recommend for folks that I really like because it's just sulfur. It doesn't like some folks will use like an ammonium sulfate, which can work. The thing with that though is that it's like 21% nitrogen as well too, right? So if you go with an ammonium sulfate, which is definitely an approach that some people will take as far as using a product that has sulfur in it to help acidify the soil, help lower your pH, and also feed it. But the problem is that most ammonium sulfate fertilizers are just that, right? It's just sulfur and 21% nitrogen. So if you need to apply potassium, like use some K, or you also want to do some micronutrient, or you also want to apply, humic acid or kelp or anything like that, you're kind of, lack of a better term, it's tough for you to be able to do that because you already put 21% nitrogen into the soil. You don't want to apply another fertilizer that has a bunch of nitrogen in it too, because you'll be overdoing it. So for that reason, I don't really, for most people, really recommend using an ammonium sulfate. Again, you absolutely can, but given that most lawns need more than just nitrogen, I will tend to point you towards a product like this, which is just a sulfur to help bring down the pH, and that still enables you to use something like Humic Max, like 12024, like any of the many fertilizers out there that are just nitrogen and potassium. I think this, in my opinion, is a better way to go about it. So hopefully that makes sense. And this is the product I was telling you about as far as lower pH, and you'll apply this at like 5 pounds per 1,000. So hope that helps. All right, great question. Next up, we got Flying Ace. He says, hey, in my Bermuda lawn, I applied Dimension on March 2nd. I want to scalp for soil contact for my second pre-emergent application. Scalp now or apply pre-emergent. Soil temp is 54 degrees. Okay, so a couple things. If you applied Dimension on March 2nd, today is the 14th, so that's just 12 days ago, I would not go out and apply another pre-emergent, like, not for another couple of months, really. I mean, it's way too soon, in my opinion, to go out and do another pre-emergent app. If you want to scalp the lawn, sure, that's a good thing to do. As far as just helping it green up and just cleaning out the lawn, giving it a nice fresh start to the season. But if you did a pre-emergent app on the 2nd, just 12, 14 days later, I wouldn't get out there and apply another one. I just really wouldn't do that, because if you apply Dimension at the rates that are correct, like per the label, you really should be good for 3 to 4 months. You really shouldn't have to get out there and apply another pre-emergent, certainly not a few weeks later. So like anything, like most things when it comes to your lawn, like, at the correct dosages, it's helpful. If you go too much, you get too heavy, you start to have like some bad results. So I would not, without knowing exactly what rates you used or whatever, I really wouldn't go out and do another application of pre-emergent just a couple of weeks after your first one. Again, you should be good to go with the one you did on March 2nd. So hope that helps, Flying Ace. A great question. Next up is Jason Swaby. He says, hey, Ron, what are your thoughts on push reel mowers converted to electric reel? I mean, I think if you can do it, in a way that it's safe to operate, yeah, go for it. I mean, there's like a little community of folks that take like the Fiskars reel mowers. Like there's a lot of people that will take those and modify them and turn them into, the electrify them. Yeah, as long as, you've done it safely, like you can, like it's not going to run away from you. There's a way to actually shut it off and all this type of thing. Then yeah, if you want to give that a go, then I don't see really any challenges or any negatives for doing that. It really depends on what you're trying to accomplish. The people that have them seem to really like it, and it seems to work well for them. So not something I've ever done, but yeah. Okay, next up is Jason Harrison. It says, checking in, happy Friday. Have a safe weekend for those in the storm path. Yeah, man. Thanks for that, Jason. Really do appreciate it. And then next up is Andre Taylor. He says, evening all. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, Andre. And then we have Terrence Stamps. Hopefully the question Terrence has for me is not too rough. He says, hey, Ron et al. I have two questions, not one, but two. He says, I'm in PA with tall fescue. Do I need a lawn leveling rake or should I go with a landscape rake for number one? And then two, for soil sand mixture, is it 60-40? Is it 40-60? Okay, it is easier, in my opinion, to level the lawn using a leveling rake, a landscaper rake. So if you're talking about one that has like the comb on one end and then like a flat blade on the other end, I mean, you could do that, but it's not my favorite way of spreading material around. The lawn leveling, even with your fescue lawn, the lawn leveling rake is going to be easier to use than a landscaper's rake for moving the material out and for kind of working it in and getting it nice and even. So to question one, do you need one? I mean, do you really need anything? Not necessarily, but it can be a whole lot better? Yes. So I would invest in a lawn leveling rake. And here's the thing, get a good one because you really need to buy it once. I mean, I have one that's 6-7 years old at this point, and it's still as good as the first day I got it. So get a good one is what I would tell you. And then number two, for sand soil mixtures, you're saying 60-40. Personally, I like 70-30. But if you're going to do 70%, or in your case, 60% sand, 40% compost, that can be just fine too. Having more sand, like a 70% sand in the blend, is just going to do a better job of leveling the lawn and having the uneven areas that you smooth out stay that way for a longer period of time. Like the closer you get to, or the more you increase the amount of compost in the blend, it's great for feeding the soil, great for increasing the organic material. Like your lawn's going to green up, it's going to look fabulous. But from a standpoint of like a year, 2 years from now, like that, the area that you leveled out, it's still maintaining the work that you did, is not going to be as good if you use compost or topsoil versus sand. So think of it like organic material is good for helping improve the organic material and the quality of the soil, and then sand is better for adding structure. So as far as like just evening out uneven spots, sand does a better job of that than just like compost or topsoil. Okay, hopefully that helps, Terrence. So let us know which leveling rate you get. Take a picture of it. We'll show everybody else, right? Next up is Ant Live. He says, hey, Ron, thank you for answering my email today concerning my soil test. You told me to get the 14714 granular to help my backyard, and I have a gallon of liquid 14714 from last year. Can I use that? I guess so. Yeah, especially if the liquid fertilizer you have is, especially if it's one that's designed to be watered in, then yes, then that would be okay. Yeah, if you already got that, that would be fine. I will tell you this, Ant Live, that granular fertilizer tends to be better for building up nutrient levels in the soil than liquids. But again, if you already have that and you want to work through it, I see no reason not to. Let's see. We have a question from. All right. Well, first is visit Jason's. He says, "What are your thoughts on a push electric reel mower quality lawn at a fraction of the cost, or a fun little project that won't get the expected results? Thanks." Okay, so you added more context to the question. So, is an electrified manual reel mower is going to produce a better result than just you pushing it, because the clip rate's going to go up. Like the reel's going to be just spinning a lot faster. It's not going to be as good as like a powered reel mower, like a Greensmaster, a John Deere, a Revolution, a True Cut, mainly because also just the weight, right? One thing you don't realize as well too, from a standpoint of striping a lawn and also just getting a nice, lack of a better term, a truer cut on the lawn, like having a mower that's with some mass to it so it doesn't move around, doesn't bounce around quite as much, is helpful. So if you want to do it, sure. I mean, there's not really any negatives to it. It's going to be better than just you pushing the manual reel mower, but it's not going to produce the same results as a powered reel mower for a bunch of reasons. Again, the weight, it's just going to be, you get a better result with a powered reel mower than you will with like an electrified push reel mower. So hope that helps, sir. If you can do it for not too expensive and you want to just to see, maybe you'll do it and you'll like the results and it'll be good enough for you. But if you want that stripe, that really heavy, beautiful stripe action, that's where a weighted, like a piece, some mass to it is really going to help. All right. Well, at any rate, if you decide to go that route, keep us posted as far as how it goes. Okay, next up is E1. He says, I'm living in North Texas, Bermuda lawn with a lot of leafy weeds. I'm guessing broadleaf weeds. What is the best approach? I have applied Celsius, but it is not working. Okay, so couple things. If you do have broadleaf weeds, Celsius is a great choice for that. As far as time, especially with it being cooler, it's going to take longer for you to see results with the herbicide. Like if you spray Celsius even in like April, May timeframe, you're still looking 7 to 10 days before you start seeing visible results of the weeds dying off. If you're doing it this time of year when it's cooler, it is still going to work. It's just going to take a bit longer. Another thing I would ask is like, what rate did you use when you applied it? And also, did you use surfactant with it when you mixed it? Because, there's folks that sometimes will go out and apply Celsius, and then 2 days later, they look at the weed and be like, it's not dead yet. And this just doesn't work that way. Like what you tend to find is that the herbicides that do a great job controlling weeds and minimize the damage to your lawn, I mean, they don't discolor your lawn or do so very mildly, they tend to work a bit slower. So what I would say is just be patient. I don't know how much time you've given it since you've applied it. Celsius absolutely does work against broadleaf weeds. It is, in my opinion, like the best option for broadleaf control and warm season turf grass. Like it's an excellent product, but it's just, if the temperatures are cooler, it's going to take longer for it to work. And if you're not using surfactant, it's not going to work as well. And also, if you do not use the correct rate, it's also not going to work as well. So without knowing how long it's been, it's tough to be able to know exactly whether your expectations are in line with what you really should be seeing, given all the factors. So hope that helps. Give you some stuff to think about. I tell people when you spray Celsius on weeds in your lawn, spray it and don't look at them for 2 weeks. And then you look at oh, it's like a big yellow spot in my lawn where the weed's dead now. So it does take it is slower. It is slower acting than like, what's another option? Like say like Dismiss. Dismiss works pretty fast, but it's gonna discolor your lawn if you spray it. Next up, we have Actually, I already answered that one. And then you said, I'm thinking Roundup is my next option. The Bermuda is still brown. I would not do glyphosate on grass that you care about. Full stop. Full stop. So there's folks will tell you go out and spray glyphosate on dormant Bermuda grass. The problem is that, how one, are you certain that it's truly dormant? This time of year, I can almost assure you that it's not fully dormant, and that if you spray glyphosate in mid-March, you're very likely to damage your Bermuda lawn. So I would not do that. Like if you told me this in December or like the first week of January, I'd still tell you not to do it, but I'd be like, if you want to roll the dice, fine, whatever. But like in March, absolutely not. I absolutely would not use glyphosate on grass that you care about. I've personally seen this done where someone was using glyphosate because it's cheap and easy to get rid of Poa annua in their Bermuda lawn, and they did it like in December, and everything was all fine. It definitely took out the Poa, and then come April timeframe, they had like dead spots all throughout their lawn where the Poa was, and it wasn't just for the Poa being dead. Like their grass surrounding the area where they spot sprayed was damaged. So, would highly try and discourage you to not use glyphosate on grass that you care about. The way to pull that off is that really, if you're going to be doing it, you can't really spray it at the label rate. You need to back the rate down. And for most people, it's just not worth the risk. Like the people that can spray glyphosate on dormant Bermuda grass and take care of weeds and not damage the grass, like they're not the people that are asking me this question. Like they can just go out and they already know what they're doing. They've tested it, or they know what rates will work well for them, and they go out and do that. For 99% of the folks that want to control weeds in their lawn, you are better off using a selective herbicide. Use something like Celsius if it's a broadleaf weed, or use something like Certainty if it is a sedge or a grassy weed. Like the only advantage, here's the thing, the only advantage that glyphosate has over Celsius and Certainty for controlling weeds in your lawn is that it's less expensive. That's the only advantage. That's it. These other herbicides are very effective. They will work well. They will take care of the weeds if you spray them you apply them at the correct rates, and they're not going to damage your lawn. It's just not worth the risk. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to see the damage until like your lawn is greening up and the areas that you sprayed are going to be looking really bad, and it's going to take them, weeks, maybe months to recover. You know what I mean? So it's just not, in my opinion, not really worth the risk. So be patient, give it some more time. I'm not sure how long it's been since you sprayed the Celsius, but don't be in such a rush to reach for the Roundup, for the glyphosate. That's the one negative that I get, like in their branding and their marketing. Like Roundup has a product, or Roundup has a a product that has glyphosate and diquat in it. And as far as like a product, as far as you'll spray and within like 20 minutes, you're going to start seeing results, visible results, like that absolutely will work. But it's not something that you really want to use on grass that you care about. You just, it's not. And people look at that and they take those results and think that all herbicides should work that way. And especially selective ones, like ones that are going to control the weeds and not damage your lawn, just aren't. They just aren't. So so give it some more time is what I would encourage you to do. Celsius, well, if you assuming that the weed that you sprayed is Celsius is labeled to control it, just give it some more time is what I would recommend. All right. Next up, we have Julian. That's an interesting way of spelling it. I've never seen it spelled that way before. Julian says, anyone help with what I can overseed Palisades Zoysia with, since it has no seeds? I guess I don't know what are you trying to accomplish by overseeding the Zoysia, Julian? Unless there's I can't think of what you would be trying to accomplish. Like what I would say, if you have a thin area or a bare area, if you can get some more Palisades Zoysia and install it in that spot, or if you can transfer plugs from other parts of your lawn into that area, I think that's a better way to go. But again, from warm season turf grass, overseeding it to fix problem areas is really not an approach that you're really going to want to take. It's just going to lead to more headache than good. It's going to cause more problems than it solves. All right, Matthew Garcia is up next. He says, I'm going to verticut, scalp, then aerate my Bermuda tomorrow, then follow up with pre-emergent and post-emergent and fert. Am I missing anything? No. Yes, you're going to verticut, do a cleanup cut with your, scalping. You're going to aerate, and then follow with pre-emergent, post-emergent. No, not really. I mean, it's a lot of work. It just looks like a really long day to me. As far as the order in which I would do that, if you're going to verticut, scalp, and then aerate, I would do the fertilizer. I'm assuming granular fertilizer. I would do that next, and then the last thing I would do would be any of the sides. So typically, as a sequence of application when I'm putting stuff on my lawn, if I'm putting out like granular biostimulants or fertilizer, or say like an insecticide or a fungicide or a herbicide, anything with side in it, meaning like to kill, is the last thing that I apply. So that way I'm not putting that out and then walking all through the lawn all over again, putting out like something else that I could have put out before. So if you're going to be doing pre and post-emergent herbicides, I just make that the last thing that you do. But overall, your plan sounds solid. Like, it sounds like a lot of work, but if you want to get it all done tomorrow, by all means, go for it. Keep us posted as far as how well it does. Tom Hoffenkamp says, happy Friday, everyone. Loving the show as usual. Hope we get warm up a little soon. I'm not sure what he says. HT, I guess perennial ryegrass lawn is straight up smoking. I plan to drop it to 1/2 inch for our last month together. Will it work? I mean, what's the worst that could happen? I mean, you're going to be getting rid of it soon anyway. Now be the time to find out. I mean, if you're asking, can you mow ryegrass at 1/2 inch? Yes. I mean, there's people that absolutely is a thing. Is your lawn going to tolerate it okay? I don't know. We'll find out. Take pictures. Report back next week with how it does. I think it'll be fine. But yeah, definitely take pictures. We want to see. We want to live through you, Tom. We want to see. We'll live vicariously through what you're doing on your lawn. All right, next up is Colin. He says, we can never leave well enough alone, right? Especially when it's looking good. It's always nice to switch things up on our lawn, though. What's your main reason for going with Zoysia? Something new. So for a couple of reasons. One, I've always wanted to have a little bit of Zoysia in the lawn. It makes sense to put it on the front lawn because that's not really touching any of the other parts. So as far as being able to put the Zoysia, install the Zoysia and not have it creep into the Bermuda, that's a thing. It checks all the boxes there. As far as less mowing, so we'll see. As far as Zoysia requiring less frequent mowing, less frequent fertilization, it's just a lower maintenance grass than say Bermuda. We shall see as well, because that means I'd likely be able to mow the back lawn and the rest of the lawn maybe twice for every time I have to mow the front lawn, which would be kind of cool. Just the appearance, just something new to try out. We'll see. If I apply it or I install it and I don't like it, I can always get rid of it and go to something else. I can always go, install like Tiff Tuff or Tahoma 31. Maybe this is just my grand plan to work my way all the way back around and get some Tahoma 31 on my lawn, right? Maybe that's what it is. But just something new to play with is what I'm really after. if I have some Bermuda that grows through the Zoysia, which I don't want it to happen, but should it happen, it'd be cool to be able to play with recognition and fusillade, just to try to do it on my lawn as well. So yeah, just something else to play with, man. That's the main reason, to see how Zoysia tends to thicken up quite a bit. So seeing how, as far as like the verticutting program that I use on Bermuda, if I'm going to be able to probably to tone it down a little bit, but to see how Zoysia will respond to that, as far as how well I can keep it nice and dense, but not so thick that I have disease problems. So just something new to play with is the short answer to the question column, is why. So we shall see. Should make for some fun content and a fun project, right? We'll see. Next up is Trilla from Manila. Oh, he's not really from Manila, but I just like saying it. He says, "Hey, Ron, and happy Friday, everyone. Happy to see that green haze we all love so much. The 2025 season is finally upon us." It is, man. I tell you, that green's coming through. I got some on my lawn. You guys want to see? Some coming through on my front lawn. Some coming through on Jason's lawn. So this is the back lawn. You got some green fuzz there. You can see it all throughout. It is coming in quite nicely there along the patio. And you see it there, lots of green. And then towards the front lawn, plenty of green coming in. Very nice. Now, here's the thing. This is kind of painful. I'm going to get here and take some pictures, some videos. I can see how my Bermuda lawn used to look, because fairly soon this is going to get smacked with some glyphosate to get rid of it, to get ready for the Zoysia. It's going to be painful. Okay, next up is 4th and Goal with Seawald. All right. He says, "Hey, Ron, I found your channel a few weeks ago and really enjoyed the content. All the basics were covered over the last 2 weeks and ready to go here in Aiken, South Carolina." Very, very cool, man. It's very cool. Glad to hear that, 4th and Goal. And it's kind of cool. I used to hang out in Aiken when I was flying. When I used to fly model helicopters. There's a field that's in that area that we used to make like day trips up there to go fly at. Very cool. All right, next up is Mars Bees. He says, "I thought about putting it down, but it has been crazy windy today. I thought my car was going to be blown off the road." That's not good. Yeah, if it's the point where your car is not safe on the road, then yeah, don't get out there and work in the lawn. Wait for it to be less windy. I would agree with you on that one. Next up is Matthew Garcia. He says, "Can you share the specs of your irrigation setup?" It's nothing too special. I have 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 zones, but I only use 5 of them. So there's 5 active zones. It's Hunter PGP heads, sprinkler heads, irrigation heads. For the controller, I am using Hunters, like they're HydroWise, so I can control it with my phone, with my smartphone. Yeah, it's nothing really super fancy. As far as my irrigation cycle, like the front lawn, I have to break up how I water the front lawn compared to the back, because of the slope. It really can only run for about 10 minutes before I just start having a lot of runoff, which just wastes water. But yeah, it's nothing really too special. Like a total of 6 zones, 5 of them that I actually use, and Hunter PGP heads. Like all the irrigation heads have been replaced at some point throughout the entire lawn, mainly because of the top dressing, the stuff that I've done over the years. A couple times I top dress and I didn't cover the irrigation head, so sand gets down in them, which is terrible for them. So don't do that. That's why you see in my more recent top dressing videos, I say, hey, go and get these little silicone freezeables and cover up your irrigation heads before you put sand out. Otherwise, you're gonna, a year from now, you're gonna be replacing them. But yeah, it's nothing too crazy. As far as watering, I've played with watering twice per week. I've played with watering 3 times per week. Both produce great results for me. Here's the thing: irrigation is difficult. Is a difficult thing to offer direct advice on, because there's so many factors that go into proper watering on a lawn, right? Like the water pressure in your area, like what the lawn is like what the topology is like. So is your lawn flat? Meaning, can you put a lot of water out on it in a given period and it'll actually stay on the lawn? All those things, all those types of things really matter. So it's when people ask me like, hey, how long do you run your irrigation for? I tend to try to not answer that question, because like what I do on my lawn is almost guaranteed to not work if you take the exact same times on your lawn, because my lawn is different to yours. The water pressure is different. The amount of irrigation heads I have are different. The nozzles that are in the irrigation heads are probably different than what you have, which all affects the flow rate and the amount of water that's coming out. So the best way to determine your irrigation system, like how much water you should be applying on your lawn, is just by measuring it. Get like some cans or like tuna cans, and for a given zone, if you say, hey, listen, you know what, I can put out a quarter of, my goal is to put out, let's say, a quarter of an inch of water, or half an inch of water in a given cycle. Get some irrigation, get some tuna cans, put those out there, like measure out like halfway, because most of them are about an inch or so, and then run your irrigation and see how long it takes your particular system to put out the volume of water that you're after. The thing you're gonna likely find is you have to run it for a lot longer than you think to put out half an inch of water through irrigation. It takes a lot longer than most people think to be able to apply that much water to an area. So hope that helps, Matthew. Some not more helpful. It's nothing that's really special, but yeah, it works for me. It does a great job as far as keeping the soil hydrated and the lawn looking its best throughout the season. So hopefully that is helpful. It's Korean. Rich says, thank you, sir. You are very welcome. Frank V says, exactly, no man's land. So rotary scissors, huh? Yeah, man. It's one of the, here's the thing, Frank, listen, the reason I got one is I think this is really Robert's fault is why this actually happened, but it is one of these things. It's one of those things you never knew you always needed. It's just, it's a piece of equipment that once you start using it, you'd be like, man, things are like so much better since I started got one of these things. Like literally it looks like I reel mowed right up to the edge of my, my mailbox. I reel mowed right up to the edge of the fence because it looks exactly the way it would look as if you reel mowed it. And nothing else really produces that. A string trimmer, not nearly as good as rotary scissors. So I would invest in them if you really want that manicured look from edge to edge in the lawn. And you said, thank you very much, sir. I will see if Ego makes rotary scissors. If they don't, you can always buy just the head, and you can normally install it on like the shaft of like a string trimmer. Like reach out to the folks at Reel Rollers. I think they carry one of the ones that are more popular, and they'll be able to tell you like what you'd have to do to be able to make that work on your Ego setup. All right, next up is Rhett Fuller. He says, I'm working on raising my soil pH now. I plan to put out Celsius after this crazy storm here in Auburn, Alabama. What is the recommendation for killing off weeds, blanket or spot? Depends on how extensive the weeds are throughout your lawn. I am a fan of limiting herbicide use as much as possible. So if you've only got like a few areas here and there where you need to just spray weed, like take care of them, just spot spray. If spot spraying will get it done, fine. If you got a lawn that's a salad bowl to where blanket spray is appropriate, then you could do that. What I would say is that you should not, if you're doing it right, you really shouldn't be like regularly having to blanket spray your lawn to control weeds. That should be one of these things where, you know what, I'm going to take care of my lawn. I've decided that I'm going to, this is a challenge I'm going to do myself, and I want to get the lawn under control. That is where a blanket spray, in my opinion, makes a lot of sense. And then from that point, you really should just be spot spraying. So for example, on my lawn, I cannot tell you the last time I blanket sprayed post-emergent herbicides. Like pre-emergent gets sprayed, spring and fall. But the only herbicide that I say regularly gets used is Certainty, and that's for controlling sedges, because I have a couple of areas, particularly bordering neighbors, where sedges tend to grow in. So I will use it there. And then Celsius when I get into like June timeframe, when like near any like sidewalks or driveways where like from edging, like the pre-emergent is definitely not working there as well. And I'll have some spurge that will grow in there. And then I'll use Celsius just in those areas to spot spray and clean it up. So I largely rely on spot spraying for post-emergent herbicides. And if you're doing it right, where you're using pre-emergent to do most of the heavy lifting for weed control, and you are getting a good nutrient program, you're mowing your lawn, so you're getting a nice, thick, healthy stand of turf grass, then you really shouldn't have to be blanket spraying your lawn regularly. You know what I mean? So that should be something that you're doing as a way to get ahead and to help get the lawn in better shape. So hope that helps. Rhett, if you need anything else, do let me know. It's a great question. Celsius can be used either way, though, if that's what you're asking too. Can you blanket spray Celsius? Yes. Can you spot spray Celsius? Yes. It'll work either way. All right. Did I see Devin in the chat? I don't know if I saw him. There we go. I thought I passed it. Here we go. Devin says, "What's up, Ron? Looking forward to some good turf talk. I've been busy at the course. Irrigation, charge up, and just finish a deep tine aeration on the greens. Time for spring and green up. Nice. I like it. We can get you back on the course on the live stream, man. Yeah, so apologies for missing your comment earlier because I jumped from one screen to the next and I missed it. So sorry about that. But yeah, sounds really cool. Glad to hear that you got your aeration done, and it sounds like you are getting ready to get the season rolling. So for you, Devin, like how long? I mean, you can't answer right now, but like your season, it sounds like you guys can really go from what, April to October-ish. So it sounds like it's relatively short that the course is open. Because where you are in Colorado Springs, it sounds like you got snow for most of the year, and then there's only a small period where window where the lawn is or the course can be in good shape to be played. So, question for you next time you come on the show. All right, next up we have Good Man's Journey. He says, weird question. I have a serious portion of my backyard leveled. Okay, that's good. It's so bad when it rains, it looks like a small pond. I want to level it without full renovation. Should I smother and then level it? Okay, so I got it. So you have a part of your back lawn that just water pools. It doesn't drain properly. It depends on how bad it is, man. So here's what I would try first, okay? Before you go out and put down, 2, 3, 4 inches of sand, which sounds like what you're trying to do, what I would do is this first. I would heavily aerate the lawn and then top dress it or level it with a blend of sand and soil and see how that helps as far as water infiltration into the soil profile. Because it sounds like you may have water just pooling because like water's not getting into the soil. So it could be compacted. It literally could be the fact that you've got like a mild bowl in your lawn. So you have to fix that. But before we go the approach of having to like do a renovation or regrade or anything that's going to be like heavy surgery, try that. Do a heavy aeration, level, like put some sand and do a blend of sand and compost over the entire lawn and see how what that does as far as improving the drainage in that area. If it doesn't, you still have the problem. Again, without seeing pictures of how bad it is, it's really tough to make a recommendation. But I mean, much more like 2, maybe 3 inches. You're probably better off doing like a regrade because that water needs to go somewhere. So even if you have to, regrade just a section of the lawn so that the water has somewhere to drain off naturally, that's going to be better than trying to put out a ton of material to try and build it up. Again, without seeing pictures of it and seeing what you're dealing with, it's really hard to give you an answer. But much more than 2 to 3 inches, you're going to be better off like just biting the bullet and just in that one area doing some grading to help deal with how the water moves. It's not something that I would necessarily even do yourself. You might want to bring someone in like someone that does drainage to help correct this problem. Like if you try aerating it, you try putting sand out and it's still flooding and is holding on to water for a long period of time, find someone that can come out there and do an assessment and can tell you how they would go about fixing it. They may tell you like a French drain or a catch basin of some sort is going to be the correct solution. But unless you have experience doing that, it's really tough to get it right. And given the cost and headache associated with it, it's easier just to buy once, cry once. Like get someone that knows what they're doing to come help fix the problem, assuming that what I'm telling you, heavy aeration and a top dress doesn't fix it. I'll tell you from personal experience, right? My lawn, when we used to get rain, it would flood and it would be pooled for a day and a half. Like it would rain, say tomorrow morning, and then Sunday afternoon is when it would finally start going down and be finally gone. It'd take forever to drain. The very first time that I aerated the lawn and then top dressed it with a blend of sand and soil, it completely changed the way the lawn drains. Like literally, it just like no matter how much rain falls on it, within 2 hours, 3 hours, it just pulls the water away from the surface. So give that a shot first. It's a relatively easy way, less expensive way of trying to fix this. And if it doesn't, then call in a drainage expert and do what they recommend. That's what I would tell you to do. Good Man's Journey. Sorry you're dealing with that, but at least you got something to try. All right. Next up is Chelsea W. Robinson. It says, thanks for the video, Ron. Had a pop-up of Humic Max. Is it time yet or let Post-emergent settle in Aiken, South Carolina? So I've already applied a granular fertilizer on my lawn the beginning of this month in March. So if your lawn is beginning to green up and you want to get out and put out a granular fertilizer, yes, you can. I would go with a lower nitrogen fertilizer if you're going to do that, though. Humic Max, you could absolutely go with that if you wanted to. I'm a fan of this. I can tell you what I do. So I start out the season with the 12-0-24, mainly because this has more slow release nitrogen in it. It's less than Humic Max, and a higher percentage of this is slow release nitrogen. So I start with this, and then I use Humic Max throughout like April through September, And then I finish the season with this. So this is like the bookends. It starts the season and it ends the season. And in between, Humic Max 1608 is what I use for the monthly feeding of the lawn. All right, next up we have R. Carter. He says, hey Ron, what's going on, Carter? And then next up is Editorius Zaz says, he says, good evening, Ron. Just popping by to say hello. Howdy. I just put out some 14.7.14 yesterday and get the season started. Thanks for all you do. I appreciate it, man. Sounds like a good way to start the season out, and keep us posted on how the lawn does. Next up, we have Fleroy Rot MGSS. Interesting name. He says, what's up, Ron? Not too much. Hopefully you're doing all right. And then next up is Andrew Phillips. He says, Ron, I will be moving soon and will definitely be doing a complete renovation. See, I am not surprised with that, Andrew, because you are a man that's very discriminating about your lawn, and you probably don't want to come in and have to deal with anybody else's mess. You're like, you know what? I'm just not going to even try and fix this. I'm going to get it the way I want it. So start over from scratch. I completely understand. He says, after applying glyphosate and Fusilade 2, how long before you put your saw down after tilling, etc.? We'll be watching. Yeah, so I was talking to a couple of the different installers. What they like is 2 weeks. They said we want like 2 weeks from the time the last time we sprayed glyphosate until we will we'll come out there and put sod out. So I will begin spraying it out. Maybe, I don't know, probably sometime next week. And then with the goal of the installation being the in April. So when we nail down when I decide on the person, and then we nail down the date of when we're going to do the installation, I will just count back from then, and that was when I will start the process of killing off the Fusilade, killing off the Bermuda grass. Again, Fusilade and glyphosate is money. It absolutely does a number on Bermuda grass. It's not the most inexpensive combination to use, because Fusilade is not exactly cheap compared to glyphosate, but it works really well, man. As far as like killing Bermuda grass, like a one and done for Bermuda, it's as close to that as I've found. So that's what I'm gonna be doing on the front lawn and the front vanity strip this next week or two. I'll film it. You guys will be able to see. All right, R. Carter 911 is up next. Hey, Ron, thanks for your recommendation of a fertilizer based on my soil test results. What can I do to prepare for summer stress and preventing my yard from turning brown? Okay, so couple of things. I mean, a good nutrient program is going to help with that. A moisture manager like Hydratane, so I'll show you that. That's a great question, R. Carter. So in addition to a good nutrient program, maintaining your lawn, keeping it healthy, that's a great way to keep your lawn in good condition to manage summer stress. But a moisture manager like Hydratane is also great as well. So this guy, I typically go with a granular because you don't have to water it in right afterwards like you do with the liquids. In other words, it gives you, it's less picky as far as the requirement that you water in right after application. Because if you don't, you can get some discoloration or damage if you let it sit on the leaf. Whereas the granular doesn't do that. So I prefer this. So you could apply this literally next month. Mid-April would be a good time to introduce Hydratane if you wanted to. And then I would say every 60 days, just reapply this. And that's going to do a lot for helping your lawn deal with the time of the year when it's hotter. In addition to that, using a kelp product, so like our Golf Course Lawn Carbon Kit, part of the reason why we include a kelp product in it in the form of NutriKelp is for that very reason. So this contains, your micronized carbon to help your growth regulator and fertilizer to work better. The kelp that's in here is really about stress management and also helping you to stimulate more microbial activity. And then BioSpectrum is further stimulates microbial activity. But the big reason why I included BioSpectrum in this when I was doing this with Miramichi several years ago is for highly maintained turf grass, right? So you're real mowing your lawn, like fungicides is a smart thing to have as part of your lawn care program to help keep the lawn healthy and keep disease out of it. The negative to fungicides is they can be hard on the beneficial bacteria that helps our fertilizer to work well, right? It helps all the microbial activity that helps power the engine of the soil. So a way to help correct that or to offset that is to use a product like BioSpectrum, which is why it's in the Golf Course Lawn Carbon Kit. So I would tell you, our Carter is the carbon kit, whether it be the Release Zero or 901C carbon kit would be an excellent choice. And then Hydrotain, so a moisture manager, so that your grass doesn't have as much trouble getting moisture, getting water to the root zone. So it's going to manage that stress a bit better. Between those two things and just taking care of it, feeding it properly, regularly mowing it, you're going to be in good shape to do well during the summer. True Gator Fan is up next. He says, happy Friday, Ron. Thanks for the feedback on my soil test. Hopefully I can get the front and back soils on the same page. You can do it, man. Listen, you're not a Bulldog fan, but even a Gator fan can get their lawn looking better. I mean, I gave you some good tips. You can be able to follow that. You can be able to get your lawn. You can be able to get it right. I got faith in you. I got faith in you. You're going to be able to pull it off. Next up is Fleroy. Rot MG says, I am currently potassium deficient. Do you recommend applying a 50 SOP every 1 pound every month? No. What I would do is I would apply a fertilizer that has, like typically most lawns need nitrogen and potassium throughout the season. So I would use a fertilizer that has both of those. Now, depending on how deficient you are in potassium, you could go with a fertilizer that has a higher amount of potassium, but I would not apply just that, just a sulfate of potash fertilizer, much like I'm not a huge fan of applying just a straight nitrogen fertilizer. Like I don't ever spray just straight urea on my lawn, right? And I don't typically spray just a strictly only a potassium product on my lawn. I tend to use like blended products. So you can if you want, not the approach that I would take to resolve a potassium deficiency. I would just pick a fertilizer that has like more of a balanced nutrient profile and just use that throughout the season. All right, RV18 is up next. He says, good evening all. Hey Ron, what is your usage as far as turf raking, verticutting, weekly, monthly? Yeah, so turf raking every couple of weeks and then verticutting once per month once we get into the end of May, early June. That's when I'd say it's required. If you wanted to do it sooner than that, like if you wanted to I have verticut as early as late April. I've done that before. But as far as when I say you really want to do it, end of May, end of June, and end of July is when you're really going to want to verticut if you are real mowing, because the lawn is going to really begin to thicken up and you're going to start having scalping or cutting problems if you don't do that. On either end, you can do it sooner. You can also do it later in the season if you want to, but that's the time of year when I think it really gets you the most bang for the buck if you are looking to verticut as little as you have to. And as far as turf raking, every couple of weeks is when I would recommend doing that, assuming you have the time to do it. Turf raking, you don't strictly have to, but if you look at the way the lawn looks after being turf raked, man, the stripes are just a sight to behold. If you want to see what I'm talking about, because I talk about this and it's like, oh, well, how much better could it actually be? What I will do is many moons ago, I did a live stream where I did exactly what you're asking about. I verticut, I turf raked, and then I mowed afterwards, all on the same day. And you can literally see for yourself, because I moved the camera all over the place, you can see how the lawn changes as I go through it. It's like a 3-hour live stream. It was a lot of work to do it, but I did it at least this one time so that you guys can see for yourself like what happens. Plus, whenever people will email me and say, hey, you can't turf rake Bermuda, you really shouldn't be verticutting Bermuda this time of year, I'm like, okay, well, watch this video and you tell me. So that's a big part of what I also did as well too. So watch that. Hopefully that gives you some ideas, some pointers. The big thing I will tell you, RV18, all jokes aside, is go light. Don't be too aggressive with this. The mistake that most people make, in my opinion, when they get out and they verticut or they turf rake is they get too aggressive with it. Like you really want the verticutter just above the surface of the soil. You want the turf rake, same thing, just above the surface of the soil. The idea behind the verticutter is to gently, keyword gently, thin out the grass so that you don't have cutting issues. And the turf rake just is really good just for cleaning up debris in the lawn and just really, making the stripes look like absolute lasers. It's a sight to behold after a lawn has been turf raked. So, but the big thing is you don't want to be too aggressive about it. All right, next up is Jimmy Miller. Says, Ron, could you possibly go over a video on how to make turns with a true cut? Having issues with the mower bouncing up on me. Is there a certain secret handheld method? Oh, I don't know if I wonder if I ever did a video on whip turns. I don't think I did. I don't think I've ever done a video on that. Yeah, so here's what I'll do. I will, at some point during the season when I start mowing, I will do a video on, I don't know what I'm going to title it. I'm going to say how to turn. I'll say how I turn my reel mower. So I'll show you, I'll get all of them out. I'll get the greens master out, I'll get the outlet out, and I'll get the revolution out, and I'll do a pass with each one of them. I'll have someone following me with the camera, and I'll show you, I'll walk through and talk through like how I do it. The long and short of it is, Jimmy, is if you are really fighting it, you're doing it wrong. Like the mower should really be doing most of the work. Like the long and short of it is whichever direction you want to turn the mower, you push the handlebars in the opposite direction, and the mower will literally turn itself. You know what I mean? It literally, like the outlet, as heavy as that mower is, I can, like with one hand, I can literally turn the mower with one hand. If your technique is right, it's really not that difficult. So if you're muscling it around, you're probably doing it wrong. But again, I'll wait till later in the season, or maybe sometime next month, whenever the lawn is fully greened up and I'm mowing it more regularly, and I'll do a video showing all three. So let me make a note of that. Mower, a video on how to turn your mower. Because I don't have one. So I'll do it, and then I'll have one to be able to recommend to folks. All right. Okay, next up is John Smith. He says, thank God it's Friday. Hey, Ron, I'm seeing common Bermuda in several spots growing in my hybrid Bermuda lawn. Oh, the horror. What can I do to fix this invasion? Thanks in advance. Well, you can't, unfortunately. There's not a whole lot you can do. I can tell you how you can hide it. Here's what you can do. The way, because I have a few spots of common Bermuda in my Bermuda lawn as well. The way that I found to make it to where it's not as apparent, meaning you don't really see it as much, is Primo by itself does not work that well for this approach, because the rates that you need to spray common Bermuda at to get great regulation are too high for hybrid. So what I would recommend doing, and I've tested this past year and absolutely love the results with it, is you use Primo Max at the rates that are correct for hybrid Bermuda grass, which if you're doing it the way I recommend, you spray it every couple of weeks at between half an ounce and 0.8 ounces over 4,000 square feet. So I've got tons of videos on that, but that's what I would do with Primo. What you're going to do is you're going to stack along with Primo a new EZ. This is a plant growth regulator, and the application range of this for Bermuda grass is anywhere between like 0.4 of an ounce all the way up to 1.2 ounces per thousand. So it's a pretty broad range. What I found is the half ounce per thousand rate works really well. So you end up, so say you have a 4-gallon sprayer, you're going to spray 4,000 square feet. If you're going more heavy-handed, or you're going towards the higher end of the application rate for Primo, what you would end up doing is putting 0.8 ounces of Primo in 4 gallons of water, and a total of 2 ounces, so 0.5 times 4, total of 2 ounces of a new EZ in 4 gallons of water, and spray that over 4,000 square feet. And it's magical. Produces really nice results as far as really like just arresting the growth of both hybrid and common Bermuda, to where you don't really see the common as much. It works really well, because the thing that makes common stick out, I mean, other than color, like when the season starts, like now this time of year, you really see the differences between hybrid and common. But as the season progresses and you're feeding both of them, like the color difference isn't as bad as the growth rate difference. That's what makes common Bermuda, in my opinion, really a big eyesore, because it grows faster than your hybrid does. So it kind of just sticks out throughout the lawn. If you mix a new and Primo, you get rid of that, to where they pretty much, they both stop growing, and they come up fairly much at the same rate, to where you really don't see the common nearly as much as you do if you only use Primo by itself. So it's a great combination. That's what I would tell you to do, John. That's the least expensive way of fixing it or hiding it. The only other way is to really do a renovation, like kill off the area and kill off the lawn and resod it. I mean, there's not a way to selectively remove the common Bermuda out of your hybrid lawn. So the next best thing is to hide it. So I've got a video on this very topic from last year that talks about this very topic, like how you can like mask common Bermuda in a hybrid Bermuda lawn. Works really well. And I will send that to you here, so you can take a look at that. John Smith, hiding. I can type hiding common Bermuda in a hybrid lawn. So there you go. So that is the video. Why did I paste this twice? Oh, tell you what, man, copy and paste is so hard, right? Trying to multitask. All right, so there you go. And then the product, the combination, we've actually got a kit that has both a new and primo in it. If you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store, go to shop and then lawn fertilizer, you will see a new EZ. And there's a kit that has a new and primo. And this bottle of a new goes a long way. Like you see, one bottle of a new covers 160,000 square feet. So unless you got like a really massive lawn, you'll buy this bottle and you'll have it for many seasons. So great product, really like it. Those rates that I gave you, the nice thing is that you get grit regulation. You don't get the tip burn, so the discoloration or yellowing. So again, overall, the only negative to that combo is that it's more expensive than just using primo. But as far as what you're trying to solve, it is the way to do it, in my opinion. All right. The SendCal says, what's up, Ron? I just sent you an email. Maybe you can verify if it is crabgrass. Thank you so much. Kind of unlikely it is crabgrass this time of year, the SendCal. I don't know. I don't see any pictures from you. Or if you do that, you got to tell me what your thing. Oh, Archie Amos. Hang on a second here. Archie Amos sent us a super chat. I just saw that come through. Let me do that really quick. He sent via Cash App. I got the email. Archie, got to put some respect on your name. I'm sorry about that, sir. So there you go. Your name in lights for whatever that means to you. There you go, right there. Archie Amos. Thank you so much for the Cash App, guys. So yeah, so my AdSense account is still broken. So if you guys feel like contributing to the channel, the way to do that is via Cash App, which is what Archie just did. All right, now to find SendCal's email, I don't see anything from you, man. Or if you did, I don't see anyone with your name. I'm not sure what your name is. So if you can, send another email, say, hey, this is SendCal from the live stream, and I'll take a look at it. I mean, unless you live in Florida, somewhere in Florida, it's kind of unlikely you already have crabgrass in your lawn this time of year. It's a bit early in the season for crabgrass. Not saying it's impossible, but a lot of times this time of year, people will call Poa annua crabgrass. You know, poor Poa or poor crabgrass gets blamed for everything because it's probably the most commonly known weed, right? But it's this time of year, especially if you're in Georgia, kind of unlikely to be crabgrass. More than likely, if you got something green in your dormant lawn, it's a broadleaf weed or it's Poa annua. More likely Poa. Okay, next up is, let me see here. Next up is Melvin Atta. He's where can I find one of your nice polo shirts, the one that you're wearing today? You can't right now. The reason why, if you want one exactly like this, they're going to be expensive. They're going to be like $65, $70. I can get them because these are Nike shirts, so they're just more expensive. They're really nice. They fit really well. The material is great. Like you can mow the lawn in this if you wanted to. They're really comfortable, but they're also expensive. And I have not found anyone yet that I can make them in bulk at a price that's going to be less than that. So for that reason, I'm like, there's no way anyone's going to want to pay $65 for a shirt. So I'm like, we'll put that on the back burner for now. If you really want one though, Melvin, what you can do is email me and I will, if you email me your size, I can, like my local people that makes these for me, I can see about getting one made for you and you just pay for it and I'll ship it to you if you really want one. But as far as having them widely available, it's just, I don't think most people are going to want to pay that much for a polo. So that's why they're not a thing as yet. Okay, next up is Archie Amos. He says, evening, young man. What's going on, Archie? Evening. Hopefully you're doing well. I saw your email with the Cash App. Thank you so much, sir. So there you go. You are our show sponsor. Your name in lights. And next up, you said, evening, young man, receive all my products. Just did a Cash App for the show sponsorship. You did indeed. And thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. You know, I have to get a producer. I have to have someone that's going to start looking ahead and let me know when someone does that. Because that way I will not have to read email to find it. But I appreciate that, Archie. It really does mean a lot. Thank you so much. Next up is Skunk. It's interesting spelling of it. Says, core aeration versus liquid aeration from Bermuda. What would you recommend? And after scalping, should I still consider scalping? I'm not sure if this is a serious question, but okay. As far as core aeration versus liquid aeration, they're not even in the same universe. Core aeration every day and twice on Sunday is superior to liquid aeration. Does liquid aeration have some benefits? Like, does it help stimulate microbial activity? Can it help with breaking down thatch over, I guess, a really long period of time? Sure, but it does not replace core aeration at all. It just doesn't. It's just not even in the same universe as far as benefits. I mean, you think about the benefits of core aeration is that for relieving compaction, you are literally removing like plugs of soil from the soil profile. That's going to allows you to fast track air, water, nutrients into the soil. If you are top dressing, it's going to help the the compost, the leveling mix you're using, integrate with the existing soil profile. There's just tons of reasons, tons of benefits to core aeration that liquid aeration just doesn't remotely approach. If you want to do it, you want to go and buy a product, you can. But it's just there's a reason why we don't carry one, because I frankly I just don't believe in them. I won't say they don't have any benefits, but the benefits are overstated. Like to put core aeration and liquid aeration or products that purport to produce aeration on the same level as core aeration is just not even remotely a thing. So would I say they're completely a waste of money? No. Are there benefits to them? Yeah, because if you look at a lot of the ingredients, well, a lot of what they will do is they do help and stimulate microbial activity, which can help reduce thatch levels, can help increase the amount of biology activity in the soil, all of which are good things. But from a standpoint of taking a lawn that does not drain well, that is highly compacted, and then doing something that's going to help relieve that compaction, it's just not even the same universe as core aeration. So you take that for what you may. I mean, and here's the thing: don't only take like Ron Henry's approach to it. Like, I mean, this is not just me talking. Like, when I was getting my certificate in turf grass management from the University of Georgia, like they have actually a section in the literature talking about this very topic, right? Like I was reading through it, and I was like, oh, it's not just me. The UGA, the people are, they gave us all these great turf grass cultivars. Even they, in their documentation, they say that the benefits of it are limited, and really they still doesn't approach what core aeration does. So, and another way you could look at it as well too, Skunk, is if you look at what like golf courses and other professional sports fields do, like if they could spray a product on the greens or on the football fields or on the soccer fields, and it would relieve compaction, it would have all the benefits of core aeration without disturbing the soil, not causing the field to be unplayable for the time that it does while the lawn recovers, they absolutely would do it. But they don't, because it's not the same thing. It's just not as good. So core aerate your lawn. Go out and rent one or pay someone to do it. Your grass will thank you. All right, James B is up next. He says, trying to get common Bermuda to take over a thin Bahia lawn. Do you have any recommendations without resodding or putting plugs in? So you can speak, well, I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. If you want to get rid of the Bahia, I guess the question I would ask you is this: are you willing to have the Bahia lawn or to kill off the Bahia to make it easier for the Bermuda to spread into that area? If you're asking me, can I keep the Bahia around and keep the Bermuda around and just let time run its course and let the Bermuda outcompete the Bahia? That's going to be a really long, that's a long trek. That's going to take a long time to do that. If you're saying, can you get rid of the Bahia out of Bermuda and then let time run its course and let the Bermuda fill in faster, you can do that with like Celsius. So Celsius is safe for warm season grasses other than Bahia grass. Like this will kill Bahia grass. So the negative to doing that approach though is if you've got like I don't know, half your lawn Bahia and half its Bermuda, you're gonna have like half your lawn being dead, which you probably don't want. So the fastest way is what you don't want to do is to either sod, resod, or put plugs in, like transfer plugs. That's going to be a faster way to do it. Like if you don't want to sod and you want to get rid of the Bahia grass and get the Bermuda grass to fill in and take over as quickly as possible, I would get rid of the Bahia, like I would spray it out with Celsius, and then I would transfer plugs into the area where the Bahia grass used to be. That is going to be as far as a way that is faster than letting just time run its course, and will be less expensive than resodding. Like the fastest way is just to resod, like kill everything off and resod. That's going to be the fastest way to go from like no grass to grass, and have it all be the same. Anything in between that is going to take time, and again, letting Bermuda just outcompete the Bahia is, again, depending on how much Bahia you're dealing with, it could be years and years for that to happen. So if you really don't want the Bahia in your lawn, what I would say is get rid of it, use Celsius to spray it out, and then transfer plugs into that area and just let Bermuda do what it does best, which is spread aggressively, especially when it's not competing with any other grass in the area. So hope that helps, James B. It's not necessarily the answer that you asked, that I think you wanted, but it's probably, in my opinion, the best approach to take if you're trying to go from a blended Bahia Bermuda lawn to strictly a Bermuda lawn as quickly as possible. Something else to consider too, you said you have common Bermuda. So if the common Bermuda that you have was put in there via seed, something else you could consider too is you could get rid of the Bahia grass, and if you still have that same grass seed, meaning it's the same common Bermuda cultivar, you could then just seed that area where the Bahia used to be, and that way it will all match and it'll all be good to go, right? But of all the approaches, sod is probably the best way to go. It's probably honestly the fastest way to go from like not a great lawn to a great lawn like that. All right, next up is Rick Stice. He says, can you put down pre-emergent and post-emergent on the same day, or should I wait? Can you? Yes. Can you? Yes. So let's say you have a warm season lawn and you've got some POA in it, you've got some henbit in it, you got some broadleaf weeds, and you also want to get your pre-emergent out. You can mix Celsius, Certainty, and Prodiamine and spray them all at once. You can absolutely do that. I've done it and it actually works fairly well. If you're going to do that, what I would tell you is you're going to want to wait at least a day before you run your irrigation to water in the pre-emergent. And the only reason why I would even really recommend mixing all three of them is because you don't have the time or the desire to go over the lawn twice. The best way to do this, to get after what you're at, to get the best result, is to spray the pre-emergent separately using like a flood jet spray tip like this. And then for the weeds that you're trying to control in your lawn, use the correct post-emergent herbicides along with surfactant. That's the best way to do it. So if you want to get rid of the weeds that exist in your lawn, use post-emergent herbicides, mix them at the right rates, use surfactant along with them, use a foliar spray tip, so a fine droplet spray tip. That's going to be the best way to get the best result controlling existing weeds in your lawn. In between that is to do what you're asking, which is, say, mix Celsius, Certainty, and Prodiamine, spray them all at the same time, and let it sit a day or so before you run your irrigation. That will work as well too, just not as well as doing separate applications. So hope that helps, Rick. I mean, it is a way to go, but again, I really only recommend it if you just don't have the time or desire to go over the lawn twice. You know what I mean? So I've done it. It works well. I'll tell you what I actually ended up doing, right? When I did that, what happened is it worked really well. Like the broadleaves got taken out really well. The POA annua, it yellowed it up pretty badly, but I had to go back and hit the POA one more time with Certainty. Also partly because I didn't spray Certainty at the higher rate, at the rate that actually was correct for POA annua. So we'll never really know if had I went out at like the 2 ounce per acre rate, if that one app would have done it. But I did have to go back and spray just the POA, just spot spray the POA with Certainty afterwards. And then that took care of everything. So play with it if you want. I mean, it's you're not crazy for trying it. It's just not the most, it's not just the best way to get the absolute best result versus doing them separately. So really depends on you, but you can do that. Okay, Theo is up next. He says, first year I'll be trying out the Lebanon Complete 14714. Ordered 2 bags on Tuesday and they arrived Thursday. Can't wait to throw it down. Thanks, Ron. Cool, man. Let me know how it does. I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised. Folks have really liked those fertilizers. They've been a great addition to the golf course lawn store. Folks really do like it. Art Carter is up next. He says, is the 12-0-24 good for your summer stress by preventing your grass from turning brown in the summer? When is the best time to apply? Yeah, so if you have a cool season lawn and you plan to fertilize during the summer, like there's a lot of people that don't even fertilize their cool season lawns during the summer months, right? But if you're someone you're that guy or gal and you're still gonna put out some fertilizer, the 12-0-24 is a good choice. It's again, there's a fair amount of slow release nitrogen in there, and the higher potassium will help your lawn manage those stress levels better. Your grass turning brown in the summer is it's a function of typically inadequate water is what causes a lot of that, Art Carter. I'm not sure what kind of grass you have. So if you've got Bermuda, I'll put it this way, if you have Bermuda in the summer, you don't need to go to this fertilizer in the summertime. You can use the 1608 throughout the entire season. If your Bermuda is turning brown during the summer, it's likely you're just not putting enough water on it during the summer months. So, because I've done that for years on my lawn, the Humic Max 1608 is what I run throughout again, from April through September timeframe. No worries at all. As long as the lawn is getting enough water, it looks great throughout the entire season. It's really a cool season lawn where I would rotate to the 12024 in like June, July, maybe August. But for a warm season lawn, you can use Humic Max throughout the entire season, no problem at all. Next up, Skunk says scalping, scarifying. Sorry, yeah, no, I think I got what you were saying, man. Yeah, I mean the process of verticutting, turf raking, and then everything else you're talking about, core aerating afterwards, you can do that. It's a lot of work, but if you want to go forth and do all that, you absolutely can. It's not going to really not going to hurt anything. Lois Jean has entered the live stream, and she has a question. She says, I have my soil test results back and noted the 12024 and micros blend. Do I need to put down a pre and post emergence first? St. Louis and the winter is up and down. Okay, so do you need to apply herbicides before you apply fertilizer? No. Like the two are completely separate. You could do them on the same day if you wanted to. Do you need to apply a pre-emergent? I mean, if you want to keep weeds out of your lawn or like substantially reduce the amount of weeds you're going to be dealing with during the spring and summer, yes. Do you need to use a post-emergent herbicide? If you've got active weeds growing in your lawn, then yes. So the answer to those questions, for pre-emergent, the answer in my opinion is yes. If you're not going to be overseeding, yes, you need to be applying pre-emergent. Post-emergent herbicide is really only if you have weeds that you're trying to take care of. In the regards of what the answer is to either of those, it does not matter when it comes to fertilizer. It's not like you are like you must apply pre-emergent before you apply fertilizer, or you must apply fertilizer before you apply pre-emergent. The thing you have to keep in mind, right, is that folks have this thing where they say, well, if I apply fertilizer and I don't kill the weeds off, then I'm just going to be encouraging the weeds to grow, which I guess to an extent that could be true. But if you have to realize that the idea is that if you are going to be using a post-emergent herbicide to kill the existing weeds in the lawn, the fertilizer that you're going to be applying is really most of the benefit of it is going to be going to your desirable plant, the turf grass, right? So while it is going to help pretty much all the plants in the lawn to grow, the fact that you're going to be spraying herbicides on the weeds, which is going to kill them off, that fertilizer is going to really be doing most of its heavy lifting to help improve the health of your grass, which is almost like natural weed control. So as far as the order of what you do, doesn't really matter. If you're planning on using pre-emergent, you should do that. If you're planning on getting rid of the existing weeds in your lawn with a post-emergent herbicide, you should do that. And then whether you should apply fertilizer first doesn't really matter. What I'd say is, whenever your lawn is, lawn probably doesn't go dormant, but whenever you start mowing, like the lawn is beginning to turn green, it's starting to grow again, that's a good time to start introducing a fertilizer. So if that's you, then by all means go for it. Okay, Lois, so hope that helps. I appreciate the question. If you need anything else, definitely let me know. Mel Allen says, hey, Ron, came in late. Work gotcha. I sent a picture last week of my Palmetto, St. Augustine, and DIY spray wands. You know what? You did, and I didn't add them. Mel, hang on. I think you did send them to me, so if I can find them really quickly. You did, Mel. Actually, you know what? You did, but they are in last week's live stream. I can find them really quickly. So yeah, so what Mel's lawn, if you guys want to see, his lawn is this one, the really great looking St. Augustine lawn. I was like, oh my God, I'm not really a fan of St. Augustine, but it looks fire. Like this lawn, this is Mel's lawn from last week. And he was showing me like the setup that he did for spraying. I found him, yay for that. His spray wands, which he made himself. He's very proud of them. So we'll show everybody else, which is kind of cool. So that's his spray wands, his DIY spray wands that he made himself. Pretty cool, man. Nice. Yeah. So that is what he uses to help create or to spray products on that. So I did find them, Mel. Thanks so much for sending the pictures, and I appreciate you coming by in the live stream to remind me to be a man of my word and to show folks the fruits of your hard work. And here's the thing, technically, because that counts as equipment, we'll clap it up. We'll give you some dap for that. All right. Next is Tonk Accounting. He says, when using glyphosate to kill off the existing lawn, do you need to remove all the dead material before prepping and seeding? Said differently, how much dead grass can be left behind? I mean, your best bet, especially if you're dealing with something like Bermuda, is to get as much of it out as you can. So the plan that we're going to be doing for the front lawn is to spray glyphosate and fusilade, and then they are going to cut, or just basically take a cutter and get as much of the sod out. They're going to mildly till the lawn to get as much of the root and just as much of the Bermuda out of it as they can. Then they're going to grate it, roll it, make it all nice and smooth, and then install the sod on top of that. So yeah, you will, especially if you're dealing with a grass like Bermuda that is very very aggressive and also can be difficult to control after the fact. Like, you really want to do as much as you can to get first kill it off and get the material out of the lawn as part of the process. If you're dealing with something like a bunching grass, like a ryegrass or fescue, you probably don't have to go to the extent of tilling it. You could use glyphosate, kill it off, and then rake the dead material out, because like fescue doesn't have like the rhizome system and stolon system that Bermuda does, so can't spread quite aggressively. Like, I'm trying to think which cool season grass does. Like KBG can spread via rhizomes, right? So that's an example. If you were trying to get rid of Kentucky bluegrass for whatever reason, where you might want to be a bit more aggressive as far as getting the material out and maybe doing a light till to get as much of the any plant that's under the surface out as well. So it really depends on what kind of grass you are trying to get rid of and what you're going to. In my case, because I have Bermuda and I'm going to Zoysia, glyphosate, and as much of the material of all the dead grass out, and then as much of a light till to get as much of the dead material that's just below the root surface also out, and then sod on top of that. And because it's going to be Zoysia, if I have some breakthrough Bermuda grass, I can just use recognition and fusilade to clean it up. So in my case, I'm good either way. But still, as far as just preventing or doing a good job to limit the amount of breakthrough, that is how you would do it with Bermuda grass. Okay, McNasty Motorsports is up next. He says, howdy, you're on front scalped to the dirt. Curating on this West Texas style dust storm to pass to knock the backyard down. Okay, you're waiting on that. Okay. When should we start grub control? Asking for a friend who might. Okay, so grub control. Early next month. So early April is when I would apply a Celiprin. And McNasty Motorsports, you could remember this, or you could go to our carefully assembled lawn care application schedule on the Golf Course Lawn Store. If you go to resources and then lawn care schedule and monthly application schedule, you'll see that for the month of April, it's got core aeration in there. It's got, if you got a cool season lawn, you want to overseed, good time to do it. But for your spring insecticide, it's got a Celiprin, SC, or G listed for April. So late March, early April is a great time to get your insecticide out. That is when I will be doing mine. And you can just follow this if you are so inclined, if you want to do so. So I'll link this in the chat for anybody that is looking for an application calendar you can follow. Again, folks all over the country follow this and get really good results in their lawn. And it's free. You don't have to even join the academy to get access to it. Product application calendar. There you go. All right. Next up, we have Ron trying to find out where he left off, because anytime I post there, it moves. Okay. Yep, here we go. So next up, we have Chesley W. Robinson. He says, thanks, Ron, for taking the time to spend time with us and answering and giving us tips for our lawns. You are very welcome, man. The only thing I ask is take pictures. Show me how the lawn does. If you find the products on the store are great, leave a review. Tell other folks, your neighbors, friends about us. Here's the thing, guys. Even if you guys are using like the products, the information to get great lawns, don't be like feel like you got to hold it to yourself, because you are still ahead of the game. You're still, unless they do everything you do and then some, they're gonna still have trouble catching you. But no, y'all are. You're a pretty competitive bunch. This 130 y'all in the live stream. Y'all are probably not the bunch who go out and like volunteer help to your neighbors. You're probably like, oh, what do you guys do to your lawn? Oh, nothing, man. Just go out and get me some Scott fertilizer. 2-3 times a season. That's it, and I mow it. That's all I do. That's it. I don't know why your guys don't look that great. That's how you guys are. It's a wrong bunch. I say to go and help thy neighbor. All right, Note 95 is up next. He says, good evening. I had a pretty bad brain fart last time. I'm using Celsius certainty, not tenacity. Good. I am glad that that is the case, especially if you have warm season grass. He says, would you fertilize granular with the heavy rain that is expected this weekend? I mean, it's from what I understand, we're supposed to get a couple of inches of rain at best, at least in my area. So yeah, if you want to go out and put fertilizer out, that's gonna be just fine. It's gonna get watered in. What you could do is this, Noah. You could, because it's gonna be a couple of days of rain. So if you want to let it rain Saturday and wait till I guess Sunday to go out and fertilize and then let it rain and water that in, that'd be fine. If it were me, I would just go out super early tomorrow morning before the rain were coming down, put out my fertilizer, put out my granular pre-emergent, and let it get watered in. Like the whole fear you have as far as it being washed away is largely unfounded. Like it's not really, unless you got like a really like sloped lawn or highly compacted soil, like you got like a clay soil that's like a brick, then yeah, in that case you probably might want to wait for it to not have heavy rain. But but outside of that, I mean, rain is a good thing. Like I rejoice whenever there's rain in the forecast. Like it could be 2 inches of rain, whatever, and 3 inches of rain. Like I will even move up my granular fertilizer application by a couple of days if I can get some free rain to help water it in for me. That's how much I like free water versus having to run irrigation to water stuff in. So up to you. I mean, if you wait, we'll likely get some more rain like next week at some point anyway. So it's really your call, but I really wouldn't. I really would be too worried about it. From what I understand, it's more the wind that you need to be concerned about this weekend. Like it's gonna be more of a windy storm than tons of rain that's gonna cause flooding and that type of thing. Emmanuel Jacobs is up next. He says, evening, Ron. I finally got around to spraying fungicide on my lawn today. However, I sprayed Scott's Moss X right after. Did I apply incorrectly by spraying both in one day? I've never sprayed Moss X and fungicide, Emmanuel, to know if there's going to be any kind of weird interactions. Now, I would imagine that the Moss X you didn't spray over the entire lawn. Like you probably just sprayed it just in the little area that you had the moss. So it's probably going to be okay. At this point, you've already done it, so there's only one way out of it, right? There's only one way. We have to wait and see at this point. But I can't answer that because I've never actually done that. I've never sprayed Moss X and fungicide I've never even sprayed Moss X on my lawn, but not with a fungicide certainly in the same day. So it's probably going to be okay. But I don't have any direct experience to be able to tell you what to expect. We'll find out though, because you'd already done it, right? Mel Allen is up next. He says, Ego makes a rotary scissors RTA 2300, but it's only available in Europe and Australia. Terrible decision on Ego's part. I don't know, maybe write to them. I write to their North American branch and say, hey man, we here in these United States of America are really big on our manicured lawns. What's up with not making the scissors available? And they might start bringing it over. But there's other options too, man. You can literally get one of those like universal heads. I forget who makes it. It's like a Japanese company that makes them. But you can get one of those heads, install, or you can get one of the rotary scissors, install like a shaft to it that will interface with your Ego, and then you're good to go. So I don't think you necessarily have to have the one that they make. All right, Jeremy Wallace is up next. He says, with these, not too far from you in South Carolina, with these recent high temps, it's so tempting to not put out some 712 right now. I've already triple 10, so the lawn is waking up naturally already, though. Thoughts? Yeah, so if you've already applied a triple 10, I guess this month, then I would not go out and apply, 7-1. I guess why? I guess what is a 712? If we just are just spitballing this, what is a 712 going to do that the triple 10 is not already doing? You've already put out more nitrogen, more phosphorus, more potassium than the other product has. So I don't really, unless there's like some other additives in it, like micronutrient or something that you want to also address. But if you already did the triple 10 this month, I would just let that ride. I wouldn't put anything else on top of that. You should be good to go. Jerome is up next. He says, Ron, what is the mixture of Celsius when you're blanket spraying, and what is the mixture when you're spot spraying? This is related to the question earlier. Thanks. So the rate doesn't necessarily change. The rate that you mix Celsius at, and really this is true for all herbicides, the rate that you mix it at, assuming there's multiple rates like there are for Celsius and for certainty, it depends on the weed you're trying to control. So there are some, like on the label, there are some weeds that they recommend spraying at the low rate. They say, hey, you can use a lesser amount and this will be just absolutely fine. There are some that recommend that are more difficult to control that they recommend spraying at a higher rate. So if you have like, say, I want to say doveweed is one of them. Let's say you like, or like Virginia buttonweed. So you have like a difficult to control weed in your lawn. And it recommends the higher rate. That's a situation where if you've got that particular weed all throughout your lawn, you would mix it at the higher rate and you would blanket spray at that rate. So the weed that you are trying to control is what drives the application rate you use on the herbicides. There's not like just one. There's not like there's a rate on the label that says if you're blanket spraying, do this. If you're spot spraying, do this. It's really based on the weed you're trying to control, the rate that you want to do. Really keep in mind, like blanket spraying and spot spraying, like as far as like if this were like a weed in my lawn, this little section right here, let's say this whole area is my lawn, and this is just a weed in this section, like the amount of herbicide that gets applied to the weed, whether I'm blanket spraying or spot spraying, really shouldn't be that much different. Like, it's not like when you're spot spraying, you're like going back and forth and you're really soaking it and calling it mother's backside and all this kind of. You're not like you're cursing at the weed and you're going super hard when you're spot spraying. It gets the same application. The only difference between a blanket spray and a spot spray is that the spot spray you're just spraying certain spots of the lawn where you have the weeds, but it's pretty much the same application. Like you're saying, you're making a single like smooth pass to like wet the leaf of the plant, but not to the point of runoff. And the same thing is done whenever you blanket spray. So it's not like, again, not to beat a dead horse, it's not like when you spot spray, you're going a lot heavier than whenever you, when you spot spray, you're going a lot heavier than whenever you blanket spray. It should be the same application rate, if that makes sense. Or it should be, it should be the same application rate. It's the weed that you're targeting that drives how much of the herbicide you use, assuming that the herbicide has like different, like the rate card has different options depending on the weed that you're trying to you're after. So hope that helps, Jerome. So I'll give you an example. If you were going to spray Celsius at the high rate in 4 gallons of water, you would use 0.452 ounces of it. Yeah, 0.45. Yeah. So on the cup, you're not gonna be able to see this because it's kind of, it's clear, but on the cup, you see these little markings. If you got one of these, you'll see a marking there that says 0.45. Like that is the amount of Celsius you would use for 4,000 square feet if you are spraying it at the high rate. But then say you're spraying a weed that's easy to control, you could go with 0.226, which is the lower rate for 4,000 square feet for Celsius. So it depends on, again, what the weed you're trying to kill, and then you'll mix accordingly. So hopefully that wasn't too confusing, but it's literally check the label and it'll tell you how to mix it or what rate to use based on what you're trying to control. All right, Bill Stewart's up next. He says, hey all, with the soil amendments I've applied in the last few years, when I saw all the plugs from Aeration just sitting there, I just about lost it. I figured each plug was about 50 cents. I'm with you, Bill. So that's why I don't, here's the thing, Bill, you're not gonna realize this or not gonna believe this, but when I did my videos on core aeration in the past, like I used to get so much grief because people would say, oh my goodness, you core aerate your lawn and you just leave the plugs on the lawn. Why would you do that? You should absolutely rake the plugs up. You're committing this huge cardinal sin if you don't pick up the plugs. And I'm like, in my last video, which was from like 2 years ago on core aeration, I literally have a little segment. I say, listen, let's just talk about, let's just fix this. Let's just put this to bed once and for all. If you can pick up the plug, hours after you've aerated and you can just literally just run it in your hand and it breaks down really quickly, there's no need to pick up the plugs. It's like a light top dressing for your lawn. There's no reason to do that. You're just throwing away like beautiful soil and nutrient. There's no reason to do that. Now, if you have a clay soil that after it sits out in the sun for a little while, it turns into these really hard bricks, then sure, in that case, maybe getting those plugs out of the lawn makes sense. But outside of that, if you don't have the really hard like concrete plugs that just kind of don't really break down, any reasonable amount of time. Outside of that, I would just leave the plugs on the lawn. That's what I do. So just really depends on what you're after and what you're trying to accomplish. Like on golf courses, whenever they do greens, you'll see they'll often pick the plug. They pretty much always get the plugs off because they're looking to top dress and they're not trying to have a bunch of organic material also going into the holes they just finished punching. Like they want to put sand in there to help dilute the organic material and firm up the greens, but their goal is very different to what you're trying to accomplish on your lawn. So unless you got a need to pick up the plugs, I wouldn't. And to your point, you're just throwing away good material. No need to do that. All right, Darren Proctor's up next. He says, hey, Ron and everyone, thinking about adding the 22-3 liquid fert to replace the granular fert in the spoon feeding program. What are your thoughts? Making sure to read chimichurri instructions on the bottle. Okay, chimichurri instructions. All right, I will make a note of that. I can do that, Darren. Can absolutely do that. So for me, no. Reason being is that the 22-3 liquid fertilizer is really designed for foliar uptake, and it's a faster releasing liquid fertilizer. There are liquid fertilizers that you can use that are more appropriate for more extended feeding. Like we have a fertilizer that I don't know if it's in stock right now. The Greens Plus, I think it's like a 14-10-10, I think. That would be a good option if you're looking, so the 14-4-10. That would be a good option if you're looking for a liquid fertilizer that will release over an extended period. Again, the 22-3 was really developed along with the Andersons to be part of a spoon feeding program where you are using granular for a lot of the heavy lifting and using the liquid to help supplement that. Like it's designed to be sprayed at low rates, and it's just not. It's not the best. It's not the best option in my opinion. Now, if you wanted to go and use, let me think. If you wanted to just do the 22-3, if you were going to spray it weekly at like 6 ounces, 7.5 ounces, I really want to go much higher than that. That could work okay, but really, again, it's designed to be used every couple of weeks and use the granular fertilizer to do the extended feeding, and this should help fill in the gaps. So it would not be my first choice. It would not be my first choice for what you're trying to do. I would still continue to use a granular fertilizer once per month and just use the liquid every 2 weeks because that is what it was designed for. That's what when I was working with them on it. That's what I was after. I'm like, this is what I want to do. This is what I mean. The goal is to help it replace the way we were using Turfplex and just make it better. And that's why it is the way it is. So hope that helps, Darren. But if you have any questions or you want some other options, hit me up, send me an email after the show, and we can spitball it a little bit. Yeah, I would not use the 22-3 as a replacement for granular fertilizer altogether. All right. Sir C. Robinson says, any advice for Bermuda stunt mites? I mean, Bermuda, I'm not sure what Bermuda stunt mites are. Bermuda grass mites, you could use Delta Guard. Like there's an insecticide that works pretty well against them. That is one that I'm familiar with. I've not heard of stunt mites, but just check the label and see if they are on there. But this is the product that I'm telling you about, C.E. Robinson. Just go to Amazon, look up Delta Guard. It's available in different forms, but this is the stuff that I would recommend if you have Bermuda mites in your lawn and you are on Instagram. So we'll do it this way. I'll post this for you. Delta Guard G. All right, there you go. So look into that product for Bermuda grass mites. Okay, next up we have Roger Lewis. Roger Lewis, he says, what is the best pre-emergent, post-emergent combo product in liquid and in granular? Which one works better or works faster, liquid or granular? Okay, so there's not really a best, Roger. It depends on what you're trying to accomplish. In general, in my opinion, for post-emergent herbicides, liquids there tends to be more options and they tend to work better than granular. Main reason is that most post-emergent herbicides are designed for foliar uptake, meaning they're designed to get on the leaf of the plant and be absorbed that way, and then the herbicide moves or translocates through the plant and kills it. For granular post-emergent herbicides to work well, what you're going to require is for the leaf of the plant to be wet. So you either got to run irrigation or you got to apply it in the morning when there's dew on the lawn, because like dry powder or dry granules, just like dry on dry, doesn't tend to work very well as far as it's sticking to the leaf of the plant. So you need moisture of some sort for most granular post-emergent herbicide products, which is why there's not a ton of them, and really liquid is really the better way to go. So as far as a best post-emergent combo, it depends on the grass. And again, it also depends on what you're trying to go after. Like if you're looking for a post-emergent combination that is great for warm season turf grass, for controlling like a variety of broadleaf weeds, for controlling sedges, then You're going to be, in my opinion, and also you can be used over a broad temperature range. You're really going to be hard pressed to beat Celsius and Certainty. Like these two herbicides, Celsius for broadleaf control, Certainty for sedges, is a great combination that you can be used now, can be used during the summer. Does a great job cleaning up weeds without injuring your grass. So it's great for that purpose. For a cool season lawn, that would not be appropriate. So I don't know what kind of grass you have, but say you had a cool season lawn, then something like Tenacity and Sedgehammer or Sedgehammer in a 3-way would be a better choice. If you are looking to control only crabgrass, say all you got in your lawn is just crabgrass and all you really care about is crabgrass, then really neither of those would be best. I mean, they can both work. Like Celsius can kill crabgrass, Tenacity can also kill crabgrass, but in my opinion, the best herbicide for controlling crabgrass is quinclorac. So it depends. It depends on what you're trying to accomplish. There's not any one, like air quotes, best herbicide that checks all boxes. You know, it depends on what you're trying to control and the kind of grass that you have. So for example, give you another example here. Let's say, for example, you had while Celsius and Certainty are great as a general great combination for controlling weeds in a warm season lawn, let's say you have like a Zoysia or St. Augustine lawn and you're trying to get rid of Bermuda grass. That is where you need like recognition and fusillade. So this is a herbicide combination that is designed for a very specific purpose, for getting rid of Bermuda grass in Kikuyu, Zoysia, and St. Augustine lawns. That is what it really shines at. Now, recognition can also be used for sedges and several other weeds, and fusillade 2 by itself can also be used for crabgrass control, but they are not. One, recognition is really expensive for sedge control if you're going to use it for that, and then fusillade 2 by itself, outside of tall fescue, you're going to cause injury to like Zoysia. If you spray fusillade at the rates you need to control, say, crabgrass, you're going to cause some injury to the Zoysia. So I say all this to kind of bring it all around, tie a nice bow on it, is that it depends. It depends on what it is, what's the problem you're trying to solve, and then you can mix and match different products to help accomplish that. If you're looking for a general good combination for warm season turfgrass, Celsius and Certainty. You're looking for a good general combination for cool season turfgrass, Tenacity, and then some kind of sedge control like Sedgehammer. Like those are good combinations to have on your shelf that will control the majority of the weeds in your lawn. So hopefully that helps. And again, just trying to help you understand that there is no one best. The best answer is it really depends. And I know when people hate when I say that, but hopefully I'm explaining why that is the case. Okay, next up is Jose Gonzalez. He says, torn between tall fescue, Kentucky bluegrass, and perennial ryegrass for overseeding in a cool season area. Wow, that's a good one. Depends. So what are you trying to accomplish? So if you are looking for a grass that you can mow shorter, to get that kind of like golf course lawn look, then ryegrass or Kentucky bluegrass would be a good option. If you're looking for a grass that can be a bit more shade tolerant, like a tall fescue or a fine fescue are great options. Or if you like that tall grass, like a crunchy lawn, like the tall crunchy grass you walk through, then fescue is a great choice for that. So it really depends on you. Of those grasses, ryegrass and tall fescue are going to establish a lot faster from seed than Kentucky bluegrass will. Like of the three, ryegrass is going to be the fastest. So ryegrass, and then fescue, and then like a distant third, Kentucky bluegrass, as far as like the times it takes to establish them. So it depends. Depends on, like, I mean, all things being equal, right? Let's say you got a like nice flat lawn, plenty of sunlight, so any of the grasses will work well. It really is going to come down to which, like, visually, which one do you like better, is prettier to you, and what, like, how you intend to maintain it. Like, if you want to mow your lawn short, then fescue's out. Then you're on between KBG and ryegrass. What I tend to find is a lot of folks will do blends. They'll do blends of ryegrass or Kentucky bluegrass, or blends of different types of bluegrass for disease resistance, or for disease resistance, and just not to have when you have just a monostand, when you have just one cultivar of, say, particularly Kentucky bluegrass, and that stand or that version is susceptible to disease, you have the problem all throughout the lawn. Whereas if you have some of the blends, which you see a lot of with cool season lawns, that tends to help offset that. So you might do a ryegrass KBG blend, or, again, it depends on what you're after, man. Really depends. If you want tall grass, tall fescue. If you want shorter, like a golf course lawn, golf course fairway look, look into ryegrass or KBG. Another thing, KBG can spread, uh, so it can spread versus versus fescue or ryegrass. They really are more bunching. They can only just tiller. They grow right tillers. Whereas ryegrass can also, I'm sorry, Kentucky bluegrass can also spread under via rhizomes. So that's a consideration. But all things being equal, pick the one that you like that looks best, and depending on how much time you have to mow it and how tall you intend to keep it, and then decide accordingly. And here's the thing: even if you don't like it, you can always change it. You can always go back after the fact and go to something else if you don't like it. There's very few decisions when it comes to grass that are permanent. All right. Next up, we have JP says, "What is turf raking?" It's easier just to show. So I'll send you this video that I linked earlier in the live stream that shows exactly what turf raking is. That the idea behind it is that you have these spring-loaded fingers that can gently remove debris out of the canopy, out of the lawn. Now you can set it up more aggressively to where a turf rake can do what's called scarifying, where you're kind of like scraping or scratching at the surface of the soil. I don't recommend doing it that way, but a turf rake can become a scarifier depending on how you set it up. But if you want to see verticutting, turf raking in effect, and like actually being done, and the results from each of them, you can watch this live stream. Just skip around in it because it's like 3 hours. It shows me doing all of it. And I tend to be kind of long-winded sometimes, go figure. You can just skip to the part that shows me actually turf raking, and you can see how the lawn changes over time. All right, so at JP, that is, let's see, turf raking and other stuff and other work. Good. Okay, Daniel Mangum. He says, "Hey Ron, has spectacle manufacturing been discontinued? So I'm having issues finding it. If so, what other options to use a pre-emergent outside of prodiamine?" We have spectacle flow in stock, Daniel. If you go to the golf course lawn store, go to shop and go to weed killer. It is available right here under pre-emergent. We've got plenty of it. We can ship you some this week or next week if you want to. So we've got plenty of it. What's going on, if you want, all jokes aside, is that I believe Bear Enview is going through a rebranding. So that is what's causing the holdup, especially in the smaller bottles. Like in the larger ones, you can get it. Like spectacles are real in larger sizes, and that's not really an issue. It's the smaller ones that the smaller bottles, like the 18-ounce bottles, is the challenge. But if you're looking for some spectacle, we got you, man. I can hook you up right here. Let me see. So at Daniel, right there, and there you go. All right. Next up is Kung Fo. He says, "How often do you need to rotate herbicides before weeds can develop selective resistance? For example, if I use 2,4-D, MCPP, and dicamba, how often should I rotate to something else for weeds?" I've never really run into resistance when it comes to herbicide use, Kung Fo. What I tell you is this, is that in my opinion, if you're using post-emergent herbicides correctly, like you really shouldn't have to use them that often to where there's a problem with the weeds developing resistance. Like you should like 2,4-D, Celsius has like dicamba in it, MCPP. You really shouldn't be using these like every month to where the weeds are going to start developing resistance. The goal behind a post-emergent herbicide is to kill, to injure, to control the undesirable plant, while you're also fertilizing, mowing, doing all the things to get your grass to be as healthy as possible, which then makes it a lot more difficult for weeds to be a problem. I've not read any research. I'm not know off the top of my head as far as how often you can apply any of those and start having disease or having resistance issues. I've never, in the talks that I've had with a lot of my friends that work in industry, none of them have really ever brought that up. They talk about pre-emergent resistance, but not so much with post-emergent herbicides. So what I would tell you is, if done correctly, used properly, resistance really shouldn't be something you should really be concerned about, especially in like your lawn, like in a residential lawn where you're controlling it, you're also fertilizing and mowing it and everything like that. You really should not have an issue where you're always having to rely on post-emergent herbicides. For pre-emergent, I'm a fan of rotating, at least my spring pre-emergent, between either Dimension, between dithiopyr or prodiamine in the spring, and I use Spectacle in the fall. Now, there are people that use Spectacle Flow year round. They use it in the spring and fall. But given how awesome Spectacle is against POA, like I don't want to, like I think rotating is good. I don't want to push my luck and then have, I would be the one, right? Like my lawn is the one where the POA that grows in it has now developed resistance to Spectacle, and then I'm in trouble. So in my case, I do rotate pre-emergence, primarily the spring one between Dimension and Prodiamine, and in the fall it's Spectacle, and that's worked well for me for a number of years. So hope that helps, sir. It's a good question. If you're doing it right, you really shouldn't have to be rotating post-emergent herbicides too often because you shouldn't be using them that much. C. Brown Masonry says, "Hey Ron, have you used imidacloprid before? If so, what can I mix with it? I got it for all the worm castings in my lawn. Front lawn is 50% gone, green. I don't, not off the top of my head, I don't think I've ever used that one before. C. Brown. So I wouldn't be able to tell you what you can mix with it. If you're going to be mixing anything with insecticide, the way to determine if there's going to be any kind of word interaction is by doing a jar test. So you would get an empty mason jar like this, add water to it, add a small amount or like a amount that represents the ratio of the amount of insecticide and the other products you're going to be using in the mason jar, and get it, mix it, get it all nicely suspended, and then let it sit for 10-15 minutes and see if anything weird happens, if it gels or separates or does anything weird. You could also just Google and see, hey, has anyone ever mixed, these two products together, and see if they have, there's anyone on Reddit or anywhere else that has reported any kind of weird interactions. But I've not mixed anything with that insecticide before to be able to tell you what you can expect. And as far as doing things to get rid of worm castings, I really try and discourage you to not do that, because earthworms they're a good thing to have in your soil. Like, they're natural aeration, they're a sign of healthy soil. So I really would not try and take measures to try and kill off the earthworms in your lawn. I really wouldn't do that. Let's see here. The second call says, Jason is Jason Rose. Let me see if I can find a picture from you. I am on the live stream. Let me see if I can find your email. Jason, I'm even forgetting. What is it that we're looking at? Where I don't have anything. I'll probably have to find it after the fact, Jason. I'm looking. I got a lot of email. I don't see anything from you. Yeah, let me do some digging after the live stream. I will answer your email at the end of the show once I get a chance to go through it and find it out of the sea of emails that I have here in my email right now. Okay, I will answer you tonight. Cal is up next. He says, "Hey Ron, really weird question. I tend to have 2 burn lines in my front lawn. My best guess is that it's from the reflection magnification for my windows or cars in the driveway. Any thoughts?" Yes, that is definitely a thing that can happen. I think BYD had that issue. There's also a viewer here in Beaufort that I visited one time, and he was showing me literally he had lines in his lawn where when the sun hit just at certain times of day, it would cause like damage. It actually would burn stripes into it. From what I understand, I've never tested this, but there's supposedly a film you can apply on the inside of the windows of the glass that will prevent that will stop that from happening. I've never actually used it though. But if you look into, if you Google this, this is a known problem, and there is a solution for it. A film you can stick to the inside of the glass that will help mitigate the problem. If it's your cars, then like don't park your cars in that spot in the driveway. I guess that would be the thing I would tell you. But if it's coming from your house, then there's a way around that. In other words, you're not crazy. That is absolutely a thing. All right, Ruben Texeria is up next. Says, "Hey Ron, do you topsoil every year to make sure the lawn is flat? Also, do you use a roller? I drove by a golf course and they were using a machine roller. Very impressive." I do not top dress every year. Actually, it's been 2 or 3. It's maybe been 2 years since I've last top dressed any part of the lawn. So I don't know. I don't do it every single year. Do I use a roller? No, I do not. And and then for a roller, they are pretty impressive. Like especially on greens, for rolling the greens, making them nice and smooth. That's definitely it is pretty cool to see how the green changes after it's been rolled. But no, I don't I don't top dress the lawn every year. A way to not have to do that is if whenever you are leveling the lawn, if you make sure there is sand in the material, that's going to help the lawn hold on to the leveling work that you did for a lot longer. If you did like a compost or just topsoil, then that's not going to last nearly as long. So as long as you're using sand, you really shouldn't have to top dress every year. I mean, you can if you want to, but you shouldn't have to. Roger Lewis is up next. He says, found out recently I have different types of grass. I live in Southern Virginia and I only want one type for my lawn. I prefer tall fescue, in opinion. Is that the best grass for my geographical area? In your area, either one will do well. Like fescue, ryegrass, or Kentucky bluegrass will all work in Virginia. It really depends on which one you visually like better. If you're going to go to tall fescue, what I would say is go through and do a renovation, like kill off the existing grasses in your lawn, and then you can either seed or bring in the tall fescue, which vegetatively, however you decide to want to establish the lawn. But it's where you are in Virginia, you can use any of the three, and they should perform fairly well. Next up is Jimmy Miller says, Ron, do you know of any other broadcast spreaders other than the Lesco that has an option to add a tank for liquid application? My old one from Tractor Supply died after 15 years. No, I don't. It's just, I know what you're talking about, like the tanks you can insert into the hopper and it becomes like a spray rig. I've only seen those for Lesco, probably because like the Lesco spreaders are pretty heavy duty. And then you figure if you're adding however many gallons of water that tank is, you need something that's pretty sturdy, that's built fairly well to be able to hold that, and not break, not twist, not do anything kind of crazy. And given that that spreader is considered like a commercial grade spreader, and the audience they're targeting with that piece of equipment is more than likely like people that got like $1,000 plus to spend on a spray rig, they're not going to do it for like a Scott spreader or like even like an Earthway 2050, because those are just more like the Scott spreader is like definitely a consumer grade spreader, and then the Earthway is kind of in between, kind of splits the difference. And the people that are going to buy an Earthway more than likely are not going to go out and then go spend $1,000+ to put a tank in it to spray liquids on their lawn. So they probably only do it because the market for that type of product would only likely have a Lesco type spreader. All right, Ramon Munez says, thanks for the good information. I really appreciate it. Glad it's helpful. Let's see here. Mr. Vice Photography says, hey, Ron, how you doing? Not bad. Hanging in there. I see a lot of greening up in my grass right now, and it really looks like Bermuda's coming out of dormancy. Is that possible? Not only is it possible, it's very likely. I mean, if you want to see, exhibit Jason, you can see this lawn where Bermuda is absolutely greening up. It's starting to come out of dormancy. He gave us a close-up picture right here where you can see that green up is happening. If you want to see exhibit Ron's lawn, you can see my front lawn. There's green all throughout it, but especially where it gets plenty of sunlight, you can see all that nice green coming in all throughout the lawn. So no, to answer your question, you are not crazy. It is entirely possible that you are seeing your lawn green up this time of year, especially if it's been maintained shorter, and if you've scalped it. Any one of those things will also encourage your lawn to green up sooner this time of year. So great question, Mr. Vice Photography. Hopefully that is helpful for you. Photo and 253. All right. Next up, we have Ruben Texiera again. He says, can you put starter fertilizer and weed prevention at the same time? Is it bad if I put Milo fertilizer as well? This will be a cool season lawn. I just dethatched the lawn. So can you put a starter fertilizer and weed? Yeah. So like a weed and feed is technically that, right? It's got fertilizer in it and it's got pre-emergent. So an example would be something like this. Like if you wanted like a weed and feed type product, like either of these, like this 007 with Dimension or the 007 with Prodiamine, either of these would be technically considered weed and feed type products. They have fertilizer in them and they also have weed prevention. And you said, is it bad if you put Milo down as well? No, not really, because Milo is going to have some nitrogen in it that these are not going to have. So if you did one of these and also did Milorganite, that would be okay, Ruben. You're highly unlikely to cause any problems or damage anything doing that. That would be that'd be just fine. Next up is Robert Lewis Jr. Oh, no, that's no price. That's not for me. And then next up is Ramon Munez 437. He says, can I use Celsius on the entire Bermuda grass of a soccer field with the sprayer, or do you recommend doing it in segments? Well, yeah, you're going to, I mean, if you, depending on the kind of sprayer you have, if you, let's start over. So you have a soccer field, you've got Bermuda, it's a Bermuda grass soccer field, and I guess you've got weeds all throughout it. Can you use Celsius over the entire field? Yes. If you've got weeds all throughout the entire field, you can. Assuming you have a spray rig like that has enough volume to be able to cover an entire soccer field, then yeah, you could actually do the entire thing. If you're using if you're asking me, can you use a backpack sprayer to spray a soccer field? I mean, you could. But you're gonna be doing it in segments, and it's gonna take a long time. I mean, a backpack sprayer at the rates that I like for diluting Celsius, you're talking about 4,000 square feet of coverage. So 4 gallons, so about a gallon per 1,000 square feet. So it's a lot of full ups to do a soccer field using a backpack sprayer. So yes, if you have, again, to just reiterate, if you have a piece of equipment like that you're riding on, that's got a big tank, lots of volume, and it has enough volume to be able to cover a soccer field, then yeah, you can absolutely do it all together. But if not, just break it into segments and you can do it that way. And again, I would only do that if you've got weeds all throughout the entire field where a blanket spray of Celsius would be appropriate. Otherwise, I would not do that. Adam Starks is up next. He says, hey, Ron and Lawn Crew, just wanted to say hello. By the way, I hit the like button. I appreciate that, Adam. So for those of you guys who are still in the live stream, if you're enjoying the show, please hit the like button. It costs absolutely nothing to do so. 'Tis free. And let's see here. RV18 says, hey, Ron, I've got a 25-inch Revolution, the 26-inch Revolution. Your thoughts on getting the 10-blade reel? I currently mow no higher than 3/4 of an inch. Either one can work well. If you want to go to the 10-blade, you can. It's going to produce a slightly better cut than the 6-blade. And if you're never going to mow above at 3/4 of an inch, then the 10-blade would be fine. If you just want something just new to try, then the 10-blade would be fine. Here's the thing I would do, RV18. If you're ever planning on taking advantage of Reel Roller's sharpening services, I think pretty soon here they're going to start making it possible for you to mail your reel in. They'll sharpen it, and then they'll turn it back around and send it back to you. In that case, if you have to have a backup reel, then if you already have a 6-blade, then why not have a 10-blade? Then you can kind of alternate back and forth, and you can try it. If you like the cut of the 6-blade better, you can use that one. If you like the 10-blade, you can use that one. And whichever one is the one you like less, that can be the one that you only run when the primary is off being sharpened. So yeah, if you want a 10-blade, you absolutely can. Like my best cutting mower is my 11-blade Greensmaster 1600. It is a thing of beauty what that does to turf grass. But I only mow at the highest 3/4 of an inch. That's as high as I go up with that mower. D-Tie79 is up next, 257 and RV18. Okay, he says, in Bermuda, full of weeds, how many times can I apply Celsius and certainty? Well, there is an annual limit to the amount of herbicide you can apply over a 12-month period. If done correctly, you shouldn't really have to be making a bunch of applications. You know what I mean? Like outside of like Virginia buttonweed or doveweed, like the weeds are just more difficult to control. Like normally with Celsius, it's a one and done type affair. So I wouldn't say how often would you need to do it. You really done correctly once. You shouldn't have to be out there always blasting the lawn with herbicides over and over and over and over and over again. And then certainty, same thing. I mean, there's an annual limit of how much of the product you're supposed to spray. For certainty for sedge control, I find the lower rate works really well for me. So it just really depends on what you are, on really what you're after. You know, if you're done correctly, spray at the correct rates, you should not having to be constantly using those herbicides over and over. All right. Let's see here. Winding down. Jeremy Wallace says, nice, Mel. You don't really see many St. Augustine lawns like that. Yes, that's what I said, dude. When he sent it in to me, he's like, hey, I want to send you guys a picture of my lawn. And I was like, I mean, it's St. Augustine. How awesome could it look? And he was like, well, I'll show you. And he's right. I mean, I'm not even a huge fan of St. Augustine, and you got to respect that. That is incredible. Looks really, really nice. I would agree with you, Jeremy. Looks quite the bees. knees. Quite the bee's knees. All right. Moondoggy's up next. So SoCal here, 200 square feet of Tiff Tuff. I just scalped my lawn 2 weeks ago. I'm seeing green shoots now. What should I do next? Continue mowing it. Continue mowing it. If you want to start introducing a fertilizer, you can absolutely do that. But once it starts greening up, keep mowing it, man. That's what I'll tell you to do. You can start your program, mow it, feed it, repeat, on and on and on and on. That would be my recommendation. And next up we have Jason Yanez. He says, "Hey Ron, seeing what I believe is 1 or 2 spots of common Bermuda is showing up in my Empire Zoysia, Miami, Florida. Any way to get rid of it without hurting the Zoysia, or is managing it the best I can do?" I have good news for you, Jason. I have a solution for getting rid of Bermuda in Zoysia grass that will not kill your Zoysia grass. The only thing is that it's not inexpensive, but it is far cheaper than resodding your lawn. So if you look at it from that perspective, it's a bargain. So there's a herbicide combination, and yes, you do need this combination. You can't just do one or the other, of recognition and fusilade. These two will safely remove Bermuda grass out of a Zoysia or St. Augustine lawn. I highly recommend using Surfactant along with it for best results, but this is your ticket for what the issue you're having, which is removing Bermuda out of your Empire Zoysia. And the nice thing is that if it comes back, which Bermuda tends to do, that you've got plenty of product. You can always spray it again if you need to. But it works really well. We've had really good results with it for the folks that have been using it. So I'll link it here in the chat for you now. That is what I would go with. So get rid of Bermuda in Zoysia. This is what you need. So I hope that helps. All right. And next we have Jimmy Miller has a question about Caravan. He says, "Is Caravan still a good choice as a combo, or am I better off making 2 separate applications? I only have one area that I have a mole issue, and I've had trouble with fungus. 1 year real mowing." Okay. So Caravan G, great product. The thing with it is that for your first application, so for April timeframe, if you're going to be applying insecticide and fungicide in April, that in my opinion is where Caravan really shines, because that's when you're really getting into the time of the year where an insecticide application preventively makes a lot of sense. And then also you're trying to prevent disease in your lawn, where a preventative fungicide also makes a lot of sense. So in that situation, yes. But what I do, I'll tell you that's the benefit of a Caravan, and the benefit is that it tends to be a little less expensive. You're getting 2 products in one. But what I do is I spray Aeration, I use an insecticide separately, and then I use fungicide separately. So I will spray either Pillar SC, or I'll apply Headway G for my fungicide, or I will use Aeration as my insecticide. But Caravan can be just fine. So here's an option. Let's say you were going to do your preventative fungicide and insecticide app, and you wanted to wait till, say, late April to do that. You could use Caravan as your first app, because that's going to take care of your initial fungicide app and your insecticide app for the spring, summer months. But then for June, I would not do Caravan again, because you don't need to apply insecticide again. In that case, you're going to want to rotate to like Headway, right? Because that's just strictly a fungicide. You don't need to do insecticide 2 months in a row, but doing a preventative fungicide app in May and then another one in June, I think there are a lot of benefits to doing that. So as long as you're using it properly, then it can be fine. You can save yourself a little bit of money by going that route. What I do though is I use Aeration and I use Headway. Another reason why too is that Aeration as an insecticide is superior to the insecticide that's in Caravan. From an environmental standpoint, it is better. It's better for the environment from a standpoint of not harming pollinators, earthworms. It's just a better insecticide. It also controls turf caterpillars, like sod webworms, armyworms, cutworms. Aeration will do that, whereas Caravan G has limited effectiveness against those. So Caravan is great for grubs, but not so much for turf caterpillars, whereas Aeration does all of them. Like it does your turf caterpillars, grubs, bluegrass weevils, bill bugs. I mean, it's like, as far as the insecticide to get for a residential lawn, Aeration is what I would go with. And then for your fungicide, You can spray azoxystrobin and propiconazole separately. You could use Headway, or you could use Pillar SC. The sky's the limit as far as that goes. But for insecticide, I really would use acelepryn. So I hope that helps, Jimmy. Long answer to a short question, but I want to explain the why behind it versus just saying, yeah, I would go with acelepryn, right? So you understand the why behind my my answer. Okay, next up, we have Josh White. He says, granular or liquid pre-emergent, too soon, but thoughts on summer scalping? Thanks. Either one can work well. So granular pre-emergent for most people is easier because the only thing you need to apply it is a broadcast spreader. Liquid pre-emergent has the advantage is that the application, the cost per application tends to be less expensive than granular, and it's easier to control the application rate with liquid versus granular. And if you're also trying to control weeds at the same time as you put your pre-emergent, it is far easier to do that with liquid than it is with granular, meaning you can mix, Celsius Certainty or some other post-emergent herbicide along with your pre-emergent and spray it all at once, whereas you cannot do that with a granular pre-emergent. So granular has the benefit that it pushes the easy button, and liquid has the advantage that it is more cost-effective and gives you a lot more flexibility as far as application rate and doing other products along with it. So from a standpoint of effectiveness of weed prevention, either of them will work well. So in other words, if all you're thinking about is strictly pre-emergent, liquid pre-emergent, granular pre-emergent, if they're applied properly at the correct rates and watered in, they're both equally effective, because it's just, as long as you're putting the right amount of active ingredient in the soil, you're going to be fine. It's more about the flexibility that you have or don't have between the different methods of application is what you're really looking at, Josh. So I hope that helps you. Again, choose which one works best for you depending on what your goals are and what you're looking to do, and you'll be good to go. All right. Next up, we have Tyler Moody. He says, what insecticide would you recommend to get rid of earthworms? I wouldn't. My height of cut is 0.285 on Tahoma 31, and earthworms castings looked horrible on my lawn. There's not one that I would recommend, Tyler. I'm just really, I'm not against very many things, but I'm really against getting rid of, don't use acelepryn, because it's actually fairly gentle on earthworms. So earthworms and other pollinators, acelepryn is not really going to harm them. There are other insecticides you can use that are harder, or if you're looking to get rid of earthworms, it would be a better choice. So just do some research, and you can choose, you can select accordingly. But again, I am not really a fan of of eliminating earthworms from your soil profile, because they have a lot of benefits. They're a really good thing to have in your soil. So hopefully that helps. I know it's not the answer you wanted, but look into other insecticides other than acelepryn, because all of them on varying degrees will have some effect on earthworms. Let's see, Ramun Munoz is up next. He says, hello everyone, I'm following this video live from the Honduras. Wow, cool, man. Thanks for coming to hang out and say hey in the Honduras. Cool. Thank you for all the value and information. I'll soon begin a maintenance project on a soccer field with Bermuda grass. Cool, so that makes sense. So yeah, what I would say, Ramon, like to the question you asked about how to break up the field or whether to spray it all at once or do it in segments, unless you have how many square feet is in a soccer field? I don't even know. How many square feet is a soccer field? I don't know off the top of my head. Okay, so typically, 81,000 square feet, so just under 2 acres, right? So unless you've got a really big spray rig, something with like a 80-gallon tank, you might be able to go a little bit less than that, maybe 70-gallon tank, you're going to be hard pressed to spray it all in one go. So in that case, yes, you are going to spray it in segments using whatever equipment you happen to have. The dilution rate, or the rate that I like to spray Celsius at, is 1 gallon of water mixed with Celsius. The appropriate amount of Celsius over 1,000 square feet. So you can just look at what kind of equipment you have and how much water it holds, and that's how much square footage you can spray in one go. Lance F says, good evening, Ron. If your turf is not compacted, do you need to aerate each season? I can drive a long screwdriver down into the turf, no problem. Yeah, here's the thing. Even though, other than relieving compaction, there's still other benefits to aeration. Like, you can remember, there's four major parts to soil, right? There's air, water, like the minerals, and just very small amount is organic material. And a big benefit of core aeration is it really helps with the air and water part of getting into the soil. So even if your soil isn't compacted, it just really helps with that movement into the soil, which has a lot of other benefits, like as far as helping your roots to do better, as far as encouraging microbial activity that helps your fertilizer work better. Like core aeration does all of that. So it's not like you only need to core aerate your lawn if your soil is compacted. There's a lot of other benefits other than just relieving compaction to core aeration. So all that to say, even if your lawn is not compacted, making time to do it at least once per season has a lot of benefits, and I would. I absolutely would, Lance. Okay, so it's not just a, hey, I got a clay soil, I got a clay lawn, I can't stick a screwdriver through it. There's more to it than that. Julia says, what's your email to get a shirt? You can email me at ron@golfcourselawn.com. That is my email. You can send it there, and we can figure something out. I mean, it's only a handful of you guys that want it anyway, so I mean, I'm good with getting some of them made up. I'll just collect payment from you guys and then get them done, and it takes a couple of weeks for them to do it. So, but yeah, just send me an email and we'll figure something out. Wise Guy says, I'm back. Ron, I appreciate your expertise. For a lawn enthusiast like me, I finally joined the Bermuda world. Wow. Okay, welcome. We have cookies and other toys. It is just my second year dealing with it. I miss my Zoysia C52. Bermuda a chance. You're giving Bermuda a chance. I mean, here's the thing. I've largely had Bermuda. I've not had to take care of Zoysia myself personally, so I'm going to experience that. And interesting, the funny thing is, people that have Zoysia lawns absolutely swear by it. It's like, oh man, Zoysia's the best thing since sliced bread. It's like the second coming of lawn care. Gotta have it. So we'll see. I mean, I'm going to be dealing with it myself. I'll see how awesome, if it's really as awesome as everyone says it is, for maintaining it myself. Bermuda's pretty cool, man. I mean, you think about it. When you have an ouchie on Bermuda, week or two, it'd be just fine. You have an ouchie on Zoysia, you'd be looking at it for a lot longer. So there's no free lunch. Bermuda just takes a lot, Zoysia takes a lot longer to grow, which can be a benefit if you don't like mowing a whole lot, right? So, Andrew Flores says, what about warm season grass? I'm not sure what the question is, Andrew. If you can give me some more context, I can answer, but I'm not sure exactly what you're asking about warm season grass. Jeremy Wallace, he says, I just ordered my Celsius and Certainty combo from you. Very dangerous combo, it seems like. I also emailed you a picture of my centipede lawn from last October. Always wanting to get better. No, not really. As far as herbicide combos go, Jeremy, Celsius and Certainty are actually pretty gentle. So there are herbicides that are a little bit less expensive, or they can be quite a bit less expensive than Celsius or Certainty. But as far as checking all the boxes of very effective weed control for the weeds that are labeled to control, and then you can use them over a broad temperature range. You could use them now, or you could use them during the summer with far less chance of causing discoloration or injury to your lawn. Celsius and Certainty check both those boxes. There are other herbicides. I can tell you some other herbicide combinations you can absolutely use that are, I won't say dangerous, but will have effects that most people just don't want. Like, I mean, there's a herbicide called Dismiss that is a lot less expensive than Celsius or Certainty, and it's very effective, but it tends to cause temporary discoloration in lawns. And I mean, like, not like mildly yellow, like the area where you spray is going to turn slightly yellow for a week or two, and then it'll bounce back. And most people don't want to deal with that. And Celsius and Certainty, if sprayed at the correct rates, will not do that, which is why we recommend it so much as far as a great combo. So hopefully that helps. And yeah, I'll take a look at your picture whenever it comes through and give you some feedback whenever I see it. I don't see if I have any pictures. At least if I can find it. I'm see if I can find your picture really quick. Jeremy Wallace. Oh, there's your name. Jeremy Wallace. Oh, wow. Ooh. You know what? I gotta hand it to you, man. Normally you look at centipede lawns and they don't look that great, but this looks really good. I mean, this is, I'm not a huge fan of centipede either, personally, but I mean, as far as you making it look good, man. So here we go. You guys want to see a good looking centipede lawn? It's probably one of the best. I'm trying to think if I've seen a centipede lawn that looks as good as this, and I can't really think of one. That looks really nice. Color is great. Again, I'm not seeing really super close up, but it looks good. Like, I mean, from the street, walking by on the sidewalk, you'd be hard pressed to not like that lawn. Looks really nice. So good work. Good work. Just goes to show you can make any grass look good. Like, believe it or not, Bermuda is considered like a weed in a lot of parts of the country. But as I and many others have shown, like cared for properly, Bermuda can be a thing of beauty, right? And so can centipede, and so can even St. Augustine. So it's all in how well you love on it. That's all that matters as far as how well it's going to look, right? All right, that crazy lawn guy says, I got a free out-cylinder mower that breaks all the time. Where's the best place to get parts? I don't know, from Allet or one of their dealers. I'm not going to be able to ton of help on that one. Allet does have distributors in the United States, and they should be able to get parts for you for any of their mowers. So I would just find one of them and reach out to them, and they should be able to get you squared away. Let's see. Van Fan says, this might be a dumb question, but can I get a lawn low cut with turf type tall fescue? I'm in Maryland. I'm so confused what I can grow in the transition zone. Yeah, so can you get a great looking lawn, a great looking turf type tall fescue lawn? Absolutely. Turf type tall fescue can look incredible. Can you cut it short like you can Bermuda grass? No. Bermuda or Zoysia? No. Mainly is because the crown of Bermuda and Zoysia grows. I mean, they go really, really close to the surface. So that's why those grasses, for the most part, will tolerate being cut really short, and you're not really injuring them by doing so. They're not really gonna, you're not gonna kill the grass. Whereas you take a grass like fescue, like a turf type tall fescue, St. Augustine, if you cut them at an inch or shorter than an inch, you're gonna cause some damage. You're gonna stress it, and if you do it often enough and frequently enough, you're gonna kill it. So in the transition zone, you got a lot of different options, man. It really depends on where you are. I mean, fescue will work there. Bermuda grass, I mean, in Maryland, it can work there, probably not as well. You might look into Zoysia if you want a warm season grass. You might look into ryegrass or KBG if you're looking to mow it shorter. So in other words, I'd say this: if you're looking for shortcut turf, your options are ryegrass, Kentucky bluegrass, Bermuda grass, Zoysia grass, centipede, I guess, to an extent. But I mean, I would say one of those four. Like those would be the ones that would do, because centipede not so much in the transition zone. So Bermuda maybe if you're lucky, but really Zoysia, rye, or KBG. Like look into those three. Those three would be what I would look into if that's the main thing you're after. But if your thing is, I just want to have a great looking lawn where the color looks awesome, my neighbor like saying, hey, why does your lawn look like it's fake grass? You can absolutely pull that off with a turf type tall fescue lawn. You just can't mow it really short. So it depends on what your ultimate goal is. If your ultimate goal is a great looking lawn, keep the fescue. You can make it look great. If your goal is a golf course lawn, like a golf course fairway type lawn, then turf type tall fescue is the wrong grass type for that. You want to go to, again, rye, KBG, or given to where you are, like a Zoysia would be a good option. So I hope that helps, Van. Not a dumb question, but give you some things to think about as far as grasses for your area. Cool. Very, very, very nice, man. So Maryland, you guys are like in no man's land as far as picking the grass, right? All right. Next up is AGZ. He says, good evening, Ron. Should you cut St. Augustine low before doing a core aeration, or cut it at the same height? Also, is compost and sand the best top dressing method, or using command soil? Thanks. Should you cut it low? No, I wouldn't cut it any lower than, like, say 3 inches. I would maintain it at the height that's appropriate for that particular type of grass. So no, I would not cut it super short. And then, is compost and sand the best top dressing method? If your goal is to level the lawn, yes, you want to have some sand in there because it will help. It's like sand has structure from a standpoint of it filling in ruts and maintaining the work that you're doing better than like a compost or a topsoil. So like a 70% sand, 30% compost or topsoil blend, I find works really well. And as far as the sand type, you want to use like river sand, like a masonry sand, like some people will call it like mortar sand, like an FA10 sand, like that. Not super coarse, but also not play sand, not fines. You want one that's kind of in the middle, and that would work well. So masonry sand, river sand, those will all work well for the sand component of a lawn leveling mix. Okay, AGZ. So hope that helps, sir. And yeah, I wouldn't go crazy short on your St. Augustine before your core aerate. Really should not have to do that. Shouldn't have to do that. All right. Next up, guys, we're almost running out of questions. It's a long night tonight. You can tell we're getting into spring and summer, but I like it. A lot of you guys are really serious about getting your lawns looking good, and I'm around to answer questions as long as you're here. All right. So next up is Pets 2609. He says, Ron, I'm going to throw that free bag of Essential G I won on your stream a while back. Let's go spreader. What rate should I use to hit 5,000 square feet? I don't know off the top of my head what you would set it to for the Lesco. It should be on the bag, but to get 5,000 square feet, you are going to I would go lighter, because really Essential G is, I mean, when I apply it, I do it like I do like 4,000 square feet out of a bag of it. So if you're doing 5,000 square feet, you're going to be applying it lighter. So whatever, assuming there's a setting on the bag, that setting is going to assume that you're applying it on 4,000 square feet. So whatever it is, like back it down a little bit, and then see if you can get that one bag to cover 5K. Should be doable. Should be doable, but just whatever the setting is, just back it down a little bit. And I don't have an essential G label in front of me, because all the labels on the store have been replaced for carbonized PNG, and that product, the Prill, is slightly smaller than Essential G. So just check the bag. I'm pretty sure there is a setting on the Essential G bag for the Lesco spreader. All right, Gomez is up next. Is here in Dallas Fort Worth. I put on Tiff Tough a year and a half ago. I have 2 dogs that are hard on my lawn. Can I oversee the thinning areas? Used to keep it tall. I'm going to try short this year. No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that, Gomez. Here's why. So the Tiff Tough Bermuda grass that you have is a hybrid Bermuda lawn. And any grassy that you have that's Bermuda is going to be an improved common. So it's not going to match. It's going to be coarser, it's going to grow faster, and the color is not going to match your Tiff Tough. And once you introduce common Bermuda in your lawn, there's not an easy way to get rid of it. So I would not do that. Unfortunately, the only thing you really can do is just reduce wear. So if you can get the dogs to not, I mean, it's gonna be tough. You can get them to reduce the amount of wear that they're doing in that part of the lawn. That's really going to be your best bet, because seeding is just going to create problems. And even if you could, let's say an example, let's just snap and say that seeding were a fix to it, you would just end up back in the same spot. Even if you could put out a grass seed that matched your Tiff Tough perfectly, it's not so much that the grass is inappropriate for that area. It's just that the amount of wear the lawn is seeing is exceeding its ability to recover from that injury. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that this time of year, Bermuda is not really growing aggressively. So you might find that when you get into like May timeframe, next month, May, when it's hotter, that it doesn't thin out quite as much, and then you'd be okay. But that's really going to be your thing. Your options are really just one, like reduce the amount of wear, like reduce the amount of wear and tear the dogs are putting in that part of the lawn, or change that area to something else, like not have grass there, because as far as warm season grasses that are wear tolerant, it doesn't get a whole lot better than Bermuda. Bermuda's pretty, as far as like the king, as far as bouncing back from wear, Bermuda's is it. It does really well. So if your dogs are exceeding its ability to recover from that, this time of year I wouldn't be so quick to jump to judgment. But if you get into like May, June, when it's hot and Bermuda's like really doing what it does, and it's still not able to recover, then I mean, hardscape in that area, do something else to other than grass there, because if Bermuda's not going to survive, or is not cutting it, there's not really anything else I can think of that is you're going to put in that's going to be all right. So sorry I don't have a better answer for you, but you've already got the grass that is like the best option for high wear traffic. I mean, you think about it, Bermuda is the most commonly used warm season grass on like sports fields, right? In areas where it's supposed to grow. Like, so if you're talking about like warm parts of the country where it's appropriate for it, Bermuda is used like on golf courses, on fairways, on sports fields, really more often than most other grasses, than like Zoysia or really. I mean, what are your other options? Like around here, you couldn't use ryegrass or Kentucky bluegrass because it's too hot. So really, Bermuda is it. So, and you're where you are, man. I mean, I would just tell your dogs to kind of spread the love around. Don't like run in just one spot of the lawn. That'd be the thing I would tell you, because you've already got the correct lawn for it. All right. Tyler Moody says, send an email of my Tahoma. Let me know what you think. Is your name Tyler or is it something else? Because it always never works when you guys send me emails and it's somebody else's name. I don't see anything from you. I don't see any email from, when I'm glancing really quickly, from anyone named Tyler. So if you can, a couple things may have happened. If you sent the picture and it was too big, then it won't come through my email. So you may have to make the image size smaller, and then it will show up. Here's the thing. Even if it doesn't get on the show this week, I will queue it up. Like the pictures that I get like after the show or throughout the week, I queue them up and they come on the show for next week. So even if it's not on the show tonight, you will get to, people will be able to see the awesomeness of your Tahoma 31 lawn next week. So fear not. He's not going to be lost. Jimmy Miller says, if I want to cut my Bermuda grass at 3/4 of an inch or at 1/2 inch, what height of cut would you recommend scalping? Whatever height of cut you intend to maintain the Bermuda at, I would go 1/4 of an inch below that. So if you're going to maintain it at 3/4 of an inch, scalp it to 1/2 inch. If you're going to be maintaining it at, 1/2 inch, again, good luck all your season long, then go like 1/4 of an inch or so, but for most people are not capable of maintaining a Bermuda lawn really under 1/2 inch throughout the entire season. It's a tremendous amount of work to do so properly. Like a lot of people have their lawns, have their mower set. They think they're mowing that short, but to truly maintain a Bermuda lawn under 1/2 inch all season long, like I'm talking like May, June, July, when it's really hot and growing aggressively, unless you're mowing every day, it's just for most people just not really a practical goal. Plus, there's a lot of negatives to it. Like the color's not as good, it doesn't stripe as well. But anyway, Jimmy, not going off on a tangent here. Whatever height of cut, 1/4 of an inch beneath that is where I would scalp it. That's what I would do. Okay, and Andrew Flores says, I'm in South Florida and I have Bermuda and I just dethatched. Okay, so you've already done it, so you're good. But I'd say for Bermuda, I would either scalp or verticut. I'm not a fan of dethatching Bermuda because for most lawns, they just don't need it. It's too aggressive and it just causes more wear and injury, more stress to the lawn than you really need. So for me, verticutting and or scalping are a better choice than dethatching. Let me see. The Great Mexican Hunter says, hey, Ron, can I use 770 green effect with Celsius uncertainty? I don't know. I'm not really familiar with that fertilizer, so I don't know how well it would mix with with Celsius uncertainty. What I would tell you is if Celsius uncertainty are designed as foliar sprays for foliar uptake. So if you're going to be mixing a fertilizer with it, you want to make sure it's a fertilizer that is designed to be taken up the same way. So I would not mix, say, a fertilizer that needs to be watered in with Celsius uncertainty. Like that, it doesn't make sense. Like if you want to mix, say, our 22-3 fertilizer, that would work well. Any of the Miramichi fertilizers, like the Release 901C would be fine. Release 0 would be fine. Those would be good because they're all designed to be sprayed and just allowed to dry. Here's the thing I would say though too, is if you are going to be spraying liquid fertilizer, you want to be careful because liquid fertilizers are designed for foliar uptake. Like most of them are not designed to also be used along with surfactant. So if you go out and you start mixing Celsius certainty surfactant and add a liquid fertilizer that's designed for foliar uptake on top of that, you might get some yellowing, some tip burn, so just be careful is all I'm trying to say. It's not something that I typically recommend for people to do. If you're going to use Celsius uncertainty with, say, like a foliar spray fertilizer, you might consider omitting the surfactant just to be safe. And if you're going to use surfactant, low rates on the liquid fertilizer. And I can't comment on that particular fertilizer because I'm not familiar with it, so I'm not sure. Jeremy Wallace says, thank you for the compliments. They call centipede the lazy man's grass. There was no laziness involved in that lawn. LOL. Yeah, man. Centipede, if you like to do a lot to your lawn, centipede is not the right one, right? Like you don't need to fertilize it a whole lot. It grows slower. It's just not, it's a relatively low maintenance grass. But yeah, looking at your lawn, you can tell there's no, you can tell there's a lot of love goes into that lawn. So great work. Keep it going. East Atlanta 13 says, Ron, what up, bruh? What settings on the Earthway spreader for granular hydrotan? Appreciate it, man. Now get some sleep. I don't know off the top of my head, man. I want to say it's like 13. 13 is that's what I recall. But check the bag. The bag should have the spreader settings on there. But I want to say 13 because I apply it every year, and I want to say that's what I'm always at. But I don't remember off the top of my head. East Atlanta 13. But look at the bag. The bag will have spreader settings on there. Okay. Next is Andrew Flores. He says the lowest setting basically scalped. What ratio of sand soil do I use to level? And I'm going with Royal TXD Bermuda. What fertilizer do you recommend when the seed is when seeding? Is Milorganite okay? Okay, so a lot in that question. Okay, so when it comes to a ratio of sand to soil, I recommend 70% sand, 30% soil. When it comes to fertilizer, for a starter fertilizer, you want something with some phosphorus in it. So I'll give you an example of what I would use if I were going to be establishing a lawn from scratch, which sounds like what you're going to be doing. If you go to the golf course lawn store, go to Shop Inline Lawn Fertilizer, this would be a great choice. So our complete 14-7-14, which has a bit of nitrogen, a bit of phosphorus, a bit of potassium, along with some kelp, humic acid, great all-around fertilizer for establishing a lawn as part of a seeding project. So that is what I would go with. Is Milorganite okay? You could also do that as well too if you wanted to, but this is what I would use, mainly because it has higher amounts of nutrient in it, and you've also got the humic acid and kelp in there as well. So just overall, just a superior product to Milorganite for what you're trying to do. All right. So you can find that here, Andrew. Take a look, take a gander at it, and she gets you all set up with your seeding project. Hope that helps. Andrew Flores at 3:30. All right. Okay. Next up, we have, I think we're almost out. Gomez says, good advice. These dogs are wild. Would RGS encourage lateral growth to fill in, or will more frequent mowing be a better move? No. So here's what I would do. If you want to help encourage more lateral growth, use growth regulator and mow more frequently. Like mow the lawn shorter and mow it more frequently. That is going to encourage the lawn to thicken up and to spread laterally. That would be another option as well too. But grass seed, absolutely no. I would not do that. It's not going to fix the problem. So yeah, so you want to try mowing, start using some Primo. That will help, or that will help some. And that would be the next thing that I would try. But outside of that, just try and get the dogs to be nicer to your lawn. Well, guys, gals, we went long tonight, like 3 hours, almost 4 hours tonight. I think that's the last question I have, so I will cue the outro music. Hopefully this was useful for you guys, and if not useful, at least slightly entertaining. Next week, I believe we're going to have reel rollers on the live stream. So if any of you guys have questions about reel mowers, about the Revolution 26, about their services or anything like that, I'm not sure who's going to be on for the entire show, but that's the plan, is to have them on next week. So stay posted. We will have the show posted early, try to be early next week, Tuesday or Wednesday, so you guys will know what to expect. Again, if you need pre-emergent fertilizer, insecticide, anything to get the lawn that your neighbors are absolutely going to envy, be sure to check out the golf course lawn store. We'd be happy to help you guys out. Thanks so much for your time. I will see you guys next week. Have an amazing weekend. Take care.